Hello team, welcome to the best of 2025. In this episode, producer Oliver has gone back through the year and picked out all the juicy bits, all the good bits, all the tricks and flicks of guests and how they run their businesses. So we're going to get it all in one video and you're going to be able to see what happened the first year of Entrepreneur Conversations. Just before we run that, I just want to say from my heart and from Oliver's heart, thank you so much for all your time and consideration of following us and watching us. We listen to all the things that you say to us and we really appreciate it. I've been out and about and been stopped by people that have come up and that really makes a big difference to me. We're getting out there trying to find a quicker route to success. The new year has got lots going on. We're pushing the envelope wider and bigger with bigger guests and more young entrepreneurs. And we want to bring them to you in Entrepreneur Conversations. So 2026 is where it's going to be at on this pod. Sit back and relax. Hopefully some of the in-laws have gone. Get those last bits of chocolate near you and let's enjoy the best bits of 2025. James, thank you very much for spending time of your busy schedule to come here to Baddow Park House in the salon of loveliness.
Thanks, mate.
You like it in here, don't you? This is nice.
Yeah, I did.
In here.
Well, we actually had our wedding here, didn't we?
Yes.
Our English wedding. And this was, Nat's, my wife, was in here with all the girls.
Lovely, isn't it?
It's good.
What is an entrepreneur? That was a question I was going to just sort of go through for my audience. So we're going to grabbing you on here. What defines an entrepreneur? Because you know, I meet hundreds of them, you meet thousands of them, there's hundreds of thousands of them listening to your stuff. What makes a real entrepreneur as opposed to just someone who's in business?
Well, the actual translation is seeker of opportunity.
Right.
That is what it translates
Because it's a
into.
French word, isn't it? Entrepreneur.
Yes. Oui. It is seeker of opportunity.
Very good.
And I think that is the clear difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner, and there is definitely a difference. You know, you could get, and you want a businessman or a businesswoman running your business for you once you get it to a certain size. You know, you want a system, organised administrator, a good manager.
You definitely wouldn't want an entrepreneur running your business, would you?
Not when it gets to a certain level. I think an entrepreneur gets the rewards for rolling the dice and then has to manage whatever that outcome is. They are innovators, usually. This is top-level entrepreneurs. They are constantly innovating. They are good at leading people, in my experience, not very good at managing things, but very good at the high-level stuff. They understand that they need to put good people around them, better than them, and that they don't mind doing.
I think that's the bit that got me from just... I always talk about working hard and working smart, and I knew how to work hard, you know, just work hard. But the smart thing was when I started getting management. And management, James, changed my world. You know, real good people that really knew their stuff, and you had to pay them like, you know, 50, 60 grand to do the job. And you could step away. You still oversaw and checked things out and tweaked, but they ran it day to day without me having to fiddle around with it.
I think there's a big clear difference as well that very quickly sums up the difference between an entrepreneur and a business person, businessman, businesswoman, is, you know, a business person, businessman, let's use a man, businessman goes to sleep at night, kisses their wife goodnight, says goodnight, whereas an entrepreneur would lean over to their wife and say, we probably ain't going to eat this week because we've got to meet payroll, or I've got this disaster of my own making. I need to magic up some money, so we probably ain't going to go on holiday this year.
And I don't see you saying that to Nats.
Not now, but no. I do think that is the clear difference.
Yeah.
The absolute leaders eat last, delayed gratification. Probably, you know, a lot of people think about entrepreneurs and look at them in their final guise, their last act, their grand finale, and see this dressed for success type individual. But they very rarely see the 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of real pain and suffering.
So when was the moment from doing that you thought, how can I do something that when I'm not there telling the jokes and doing the magic that earns me money when I'm asleep in my bed.
I got into buy-to-let property from a very young age. I bought the first one, the second I was 18. So that was the first, trickle of passive income, if you like.
So James, slow that down. So what, you bought a house, how old?
18.
18. That's funny, because I bought my first house at my 18th birthday. And it was really difficult to do. And a friendly solicitor, I asked him if you could do it. And he said, I don't know, but we'll give it a go. And he took it on as a mission to do all of the stuff pre the actual execution of the mortgage and the purchase. And it was all on it was actually the day after my fourth birthday, on the 5th of December. And I actually bought a little property.
Yeah.
Very, very hard to do, that was then.
It was hard to do back then, but I wanted security around me. And then I set up an agency. So I was getting so booked up in advance, I then started training other entertainers up and then giving them all work and taking a small cut from filling their diaries.
And what would you take percentage of that job?
It was a £45 deposit or a £60 deposit, and then up to £100. So they might be earning 1,500 quid for a gig, and we would get 100, or 300, and we would get 60. And it was a really shoddy model, really, and I sort of copied someone else that was doing something similar. But what I should have done is created a brand and had the same name, and then, but I didn't do that because I suppose I had an ego that I didn't want anyone else to use my name and they wouldn't be as good or whatever. But that meant that I was building their brands, and then after a year and a half they would just leave me and go off and
become their own thing.
So it was a very low barrier to entry, and that's why if anyone watches my content, I talk about making your business as high a barrier to entry as possible, because no one goes to work at McDonald's and thinks I'm just going to set up my own version of this next door unless I pay them a huge franchise fee, because the brand is so powerful, the land that it sits on, the real estate is so powerful, whereas I didn't have any of that. And so I try now to, that's why I like regulated businesses.
But you were doing stuff that was all sort of amalgamating with sort of entertainment and all the stuff. I mean, at one stage you had the limousine company, and that looked hard work.
But I'd done loads of low barrier to entry stuff very quickly. By the time I was 22, 23. I mean, we did get into venues, and we started Party Man World, and that was bringing in lots of cash flow, and I was just investing, trying to work out ways of doing stuff. And then I hit on day nurseries when I was about 24, and that really changed the game.
But the interesting thing that I when we talked, when you did day nurseries, when you did indoor play, you ended up going into the whole world of their annual meeting or their association, and then you'd get involved with everybody, wouldn't you? And then you go and talk at those events and become part of the scene of day nurseries, or part of the scene of indoor play. Because when I've been out with you, people have met you, and you've been knowing these people for many years and swapping ideas and nicking ideas and doing all sorts.
I think it's very important, in any sector we're in. If in the farm attractions world, there's the National Farm Attractions Network. Everyone would know me in there, and I'll speak at their conferences. I think that does pay you dividends to do stuff like that. Not now, but in the future. And I'll talk about how my life has changed in sort of my philosophies. Maybe touch on that now. In the early days, I was hunting for cash flow. I was in a hunter's mentality, which is what most entrepreneurs or business owners are doing. They're hunting for cash. As you develop and you get better, I think you become more of a farmer, and you start doing work that constantly gives you more and more fruit and more rewards. But farming is delayed gratification. Hunting can be instant gratification. Yeah. You go out, you swap time for money, you get some money.
The farmer is cutting ditches and doing pipes and doing stuff that will pay off, in the next few years' time.
Absolutely. And I now look at, making content. You don't get instant gratification for making content, but in 10 years' time, that video could land you amazing things. In 3 years' time, 2 years' time, whereas lots of business owners go, I can't believe you make all these videos, do all these podcasts, write all these newsletters. Is it really a use of your time? Is it good? But
James, did you stumble on it? I mean, you and Michael Chudley that does all the editing and videography and stuff for you, and it has worked with you all those years. Was that this is now the new thing, or did you just stumble into, we are now needing to be a content company?
Well, I have to admit, when I started the content thing, there was a hunter's mentality there. I wanted to speak on stages and get paid 3, 4, 5,000, £10,000 to go and do a 45 hours keynote. How do you get customers? Well, I thought I'll make content to get that work. That really was how it started.
So this is you being part of your, as an entertainer, that you've always been from grassroots entertainer, and you could do the same type of entertaining storytelling on that stage, but for business.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a lot of gigs as a family entertainer. I thought, well, as I get older, and also like you go and do a kid's party, you get anywhere between, I mean, I was charging 650 quid when I was doing it 8-10 years ago, which was top end for a family entertainer. I then heard people doing a keynote presentation, £5,000, 45 minutes. Thought, well, that's my way. Yeah. I love being on stage, so I love doing that stuff. And I thought, well, that's a much better return on my swapping time for money. I write a book, so I wrote a book called The Millionaire Clown. That was the first one. I wrote another book, and then I thought I can start making videos.
And what was the second book you wrote?
The Experience Business. It was all about margin-based businesses.
And the third book? We might as well do them all now.
Getting customers, which is about getting customers.
And the fourth book?
It's called The Dream Team, all about recruiting great people. So they're the 4 books. So I started initially on a hunter's mentality to get immediate returns from making content. But actually, the farming part of making content is when someone says, would you like to buy my business, or can I come and work for you, or you get that big lead for your business. And then now I'm not so bothered about speaking on, I mean, I like speaking on stages, but my life's much busier than when I started 10 years ago making content.
Because we've been out and about, and you tell me stories where people have just said, can you just come and take my business from me, please? Yeah. With no money down, no nothing. They just want a safe pair of hands, and that can only come from those years of content of seeing who is the person that I'm going to deal with, and they can deep dive you by looking at all of that content and seeing, look, this guy is consistent, he's truthful, he's honourable, he's successful. Actually, why don't I just do the deal with this person? Sam, the whole thing that you set up was quite disruptive to the gambling organisations, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so. It's kind of the anathema to their whole business model. Right. It's bookies give out free bets as a loss leader. They want to rope customers in and keep them, and their hope is that they'll sign up, they'll use the bet, and they'll keep gambling with them forever and ever. And we're basically educating people: take the free bet that they give you, which is free money, bet on something, bet against it somewhere else, and then run away. Right, okay. That's the kind of model. It's just use the free bets, make a guaranteed profit, and stop betting. And it's basically educating people that long term you can't beat the bookie, but you can if you're abusing their free bets, and that's what we were educating people to do.
And then when you ran that for 10 years,
yeah,
and that was earning and churning very well for you, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we made 150 a month on average.
Right.
So, yeah.
And how big was the team to run that type of setup?
I mean, it varied over the years. At most, we had 50 staff, but I kind of trimmed it down a bit towards the end. We had about 30, 35, something like that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Do you think that you sold it for enough money?
I think I sold it for a price that I was very happy with. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And have they gone on and worked with it? Have they done well? The company?
No. So they now have a monopoly on the space. Okay. Basically, I'm still involved as a non-exec director. Okay. And give them advice on marketing and so on. But yeah, they've
because they were quite a cheeky bunch. Because you'd done a deal and had a handshake, and on my little bit of research, and they tried to chip you on the day, didn't they? Yeah.
The whole thing about the deal was, because we knew there was a Labour government coming in,
right?
And I think it was the 30th of October, there was going to be a new budget, and everyone thought capital gains is going to go up. Yeah. So I was like, well, if I sell after that date, I'm going to get annihilated on tax. We didn't know how much it was going to change by. So I said to them, right, this is my price. We've got 3 days to sign a deal. Otherwise, who knows what the price will be after that. And so having the benefit of this deadline was really helpful, because it kind of focused everyone's mind, and they really wanted the company. They had a competitor, and it just made so much business sense to them. And so I was able to be quite firm in my positioning.
Yeah.
So we'd had 3 days of negotiating, and then it got to the last day, and I was like, I feel like I should have some paperwork by now. And it was getting quite close to the wire. And then it was about midday that day, and they basically sent me an email and tried to chip me down £1 million quid. And fair enough, negotiating strategy. And so I had a moment where I was like, right, how badly do I actually want to sell this? I was like, can I?
Or how badly do they want to buy?
Exactly. But for me, I was thinking, what happens if this doesn't go through? And in any negotiation, as long as you're willing to completely walk away from it, you've got all the cards. And I realized I was completely happy to keep running it.
Sam, they are the best deals when you are absolutely, well, don't bloody buy it then.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it just is. I've done this thing with the when we've been raising funds to buy property or to redo loans and stuff. And that you get 75 questions, and the 75 questions get down to 12. And I'm looking at the 12 questions I'm being asked. I'm thinking, there are no answers for these questions. someone in the credit committee has said, ask these questions.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's no answer. And in the end, you just say, listen, if you don't want to lend us the money, just don't then.
Yeah.
And we'll just all go away like that. And it gets everybody sort of bristled up and sort of focused.
The best negotiation is have something they want, and they have nothing you want.
Yeah,
and
that's it. Absolutely.
they had the money, but I was making enough money anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
For me, it was all about it gave me an opportunity to have a chunk of capital so that I could really focus on something else.
Sam, what gives you the grit and determination? I mean, just go briefly into family. What was upbringing like and stuff?
My mum was a nanny and a cleaner for another family, and we used to live with them in a big house. And it was a perfectly nice upbringing. And I never knew my dad. I tell her that I met him once when I was 23. I had coffee with him at St Pancras Station. I was just curious, really, who this guy was.
Yeah.
Relatively successful himself, not to the kind of level I've achieved now, but he did done well for himself. And I basically was just emailing him a little bit after that, and he basically sent me an email one day and just said, "Oh, can't help you with this. We wish you well in life." So I was like, okay, you're an arsehole. Got it. I mean, I already knew that anyway. But and so never really had a father figure. But for me, it was when I was probably 7 or 8, and there was an election happening, and my mum was telling me, "Oh, the Conservative Party, that's for rich people." I was like, okay, how do we get rich?
Right.
You can't. Some people are rich and some people aren't, and that's just the way it is. And I was like, that doesn't seem very fair. And so that then lit a bit of a fire in me that shouldn't be the case. And how can I make that not the case?
And do you really reflect back that it was that you were at that young age that it actually did spark something inside you?
100%. Yeah. It took a while to manifest into how that would happen. It's probably when I was like 15, 16, watching Dragon's Den, The Apprentice. Okay. These guys are doing well. I remember watching an episode, and Theo Paphitis said he had £10 million in his bank, and I was like, oh my God, £10 million.
Yeah.
And so I just started reading every book I could get my hands on, watched every podcast, every YouTube video, and just tried to emulate what they'd done.
I mean, you had some cojones, mate. I'd be worried they'd come and put you in a box and take you away.
Yeah, there were a few times. I mean, I got, in the very early days, I did get anonymous death threats. From on like public forums and stuff. There were like death threats coming to me just because I was...
Sam, what would make you stay in with it then? I mean, that's dogmatic to have stayed in with it.
Stubbornness.
Yeah.
and delusions of grandeur, maybe.
Yeah.
It was working, and if someone was going to try and bully me, in school I was very much a quiet, kind of timid little kid, and got bullied and hated school, hated everything about it, and then got to about 15, 16 and realized actually you can do whatever you want as long as you're sort of committed to doing it. So the idea of quitting was just non-negotiable. Like was mum supportive of you? Because you said we can't get rich, but did she come round to that feeling now, or? And I mean, after it's happened, I can't hand on heart say that she was supportive at the start, because I just don't think she got it.
No, okay.
And quite funnily, I remember. So back when I first started doing match betting, we've got someone in the family, like a distant cousin, that had a gambling problem. So for her, seeing me do any kind of bet placement was like,
this is
trauma.
Yeah.
And I had a bot. So I had a part-time job at Toys R Us, and I had a bot that would play blackjack for me at home with a strategic a mathematical advantage. And so I'd be out at Toys R Us earning 40 quid for 4 hours of work, and I'd come home and I've earned 200 quid on this bot. And once my mum, thinking that I was gambling, went on and took over the bot and placed a load of bets to try and teach me a lesson, and wiped out the account that I had. So I lost about 600 quid. And she did it from a place of good intentions.
Right, okay.
But
she probably didn't really understand what
the
tech was doing.
Exactly.
But who are you today? Tell me about that.
So most people will know me as the owner of Dunmo Skips, Dunmo Group. We've got the biggest waste management company in Essex. We are the the bright yellow skips, bright orange trucks that are all over the roads in Essex. So I got involved in that just over 20 years ago. Took it over from my father. It was a small business, turned over 900 grand with 5 trucks, and I got the bit between my teeth sort of towards 2010 when I met my business partner, and we just grew the business to where it is now. So that's where you'd know me from a local perspective.
And staying with that local business, you and your partner avidly bought up smaller companies, didn't you, to scale? And you scaled pretty quick, didn't you?
Yeah, so we were in Little Dunmo. That's where we originated from, and then we moved in 2011. 2011, we approached Carterway. Carterway were actually the biggest construction skip company in Essex, but they'd had a fire, and we could tell that the owners had kind of lost interest. So we approached them. They kind of threw us the keys and went, just take it. Right. So
I bet Little Dunmo were pleased that you moved.
Little Dunmo were very pleased because we had grown the business to the point that there was trucks blocking the village.
Was it? Yeah.
So Little Dunmo was very pleased. We then moved over to Chelmsford, and that gave us the basis of a fantastic site that we have now.
Carterway, and I do have a history in rubbish. I had a company called Ground Control way back in my I think I was 19, 20, and that was mini skips.
Yeah.
And Carterway back then,
yeah,
Carterway was actually a franchise. You could buy the franchises of Carterway, unless the names have changed. But that was a thing there. And I went and got a franchise for selling the equipment, and the equipment was Telehoist. Telehoist did that gear.
Yeah.
And I was in a room waiting to buy one unit, and I could hear an Irishman in the room next door in his porter cabin saying, "No, I'm going to become the dealer, this, that, and the other." So when I went in, I said at 19, "Yeah, I want to become the dealer for the south of Essex." And they bloody gave it to me. And they gave me better rates on the equipment and all the rest of it. And we built that business up, and then we sold that to Sharp Skips.
Yeah.
And you know Sharp, they're another local company. But that was a long time ago. So
that's interesting.
I feel your pain in rubbish. Rubbish is a great business, but it's very, very hard to get the men out, to get organised.
It's extremely hard.
The whole thing is very fiddly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard. And the operational side of the business is challenging.
Yeah. How they've all now got to have all these separations. I mean, how do you cope with that?
I think I've had quite a bit of experience over the last few weeks with it. One of the biggest challenges now is the legislation around the business. So there's legislation is changing all the time when it comes to recycling and what people can put in skips. For example, you've got a new legislation which is it's called POPs, and it's the chairs and the settees that we sit on. As soon as you put it in a skip, it then becomes pretty much hazardous. So it's the pollutants that are left in the fabrics make it now hazardous. So we now have to change all our systems and processes in the yard to make sure that we adhere to those processes. And having conversations with other companies in the industry, not many people are adhering to it. Right. But when you're a professional big company like us, then we have to make sure that we seem to be doing, and we do adhere to the registration.
And that's costing you more money on there, where others that are probably not paying to the rules.
It's costing us more money, and it's more systems and processes for the staff to follow. And then that's ultimately the challenge, is getting the team to follow the systems and processes that we put in place. That's what it's a big team, all different pay grades, and it's just that's the hardest part of the waste management industry.
And don't you think that in the end, it's going to be just end up with some big players, because the smaller players won't be able to afford to do that?
100%. I think that's where we're going now. Yeah. I was having conversations this morning about exactly that.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
think there's going to
interesting.
be regional players, aren't there, in the end,
Yeah.
but that will actually be able to cope with that legislation that. It's they do things to us here with on the industrial estate where they advise that every fuse board should be metal, a metal cased fuse board. Well, now that's legislation.
Yeah,
we were doing it 4 years ago because we wanted to be ahead of the curve on it. EPC rules for buildings. Everything is challenging us as business people to have the thing running professionally where others are sliding underneath the radar, and that's challenging on price, isn't it, when you're trying to do price structure for it.
Exactly.
If that's your localized business, so now go on so our audience can understand how have you gone into this other sphere that is, I mean, when I looked at it, I tried to look it up the other night with my dyslexic brain, so I was looking at all the pictures. It looks like fire suppression inside equipment and machineries and stuff like that that's automated. It's not a man picking up a fire extinguisher and running into the problem. It's automated systems. So
it's automated. So we talked a little bit earlier off podcast about kind of what made me tick, what got me out of bed.
Yeah.
And in the early days, I remember I was running the skip business, and it was a family business, but it was me running it. And my dad, we had a bit of a row one day, and my dad said to me, he said, "You try starting a business," because he'd got his roofing business that he'd started, and he'd come from nothing, and then I'd come in, and we had a bit of a row, and he said, "You try starting a business." So that just stayed in my brain, and I was like, right, I need to start a business. So on the fire side of the business in I think 2008-9, I was down the pub a lot, and a friend of mine had this idea, kept talking about it, and one day I went, right, we're doing it, and it was basically a fire extinguisher with a tube that come off it, and the tube held the extinguishant. So whatever you had in the cylinder, if you burst the tube, then it would come out of the extinguisher through the point in where the fire burst the tube. So it was very simple, made sense, and I said, let's do it. So we sat around the table. I'd just got a business. I'd just met my business partner on the skip side, and I said, let's sit around the table, the three of us, and let's start this business. So that's what we did. And cut a long story short, we started to focus that business on the waste management sector. Because we're in waste, we knew a lot of people in the industry, so we thought, why go to another sector? Let's just leverage our relationships. And we started to protect waste and recycling equipment in the waste industry.
But from everything, from trucks as well.
So we can do trucks. Yeah. So you've got like petrol tankers we can do. So you've got certain legislation. Trucks are not high risk, although we do have truck fires. They're not classed as high risk. Yeah. There are some legislation around fuel tankers that will require it in the coming years, but ultimately, predominantly mobile plant. That's what we protect.
And could you see, diggers and excavators and stuff like that? And could you see, Sam? Could you see what the future looked like? Did you have your eye on that, or was it just a great idea? Because the future is now that the legislation is going to be coming that you're going to have one of these to lower your premiums on insurance, to lower your health and safety risks. That is going to come, isn't it? Or it's already coming, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're right. That we saw that. We were talking to insurance companies. We were obviously convincing insurance companies this is what they needed. Yeah. It was going that way. We had a competitor that had spent quite a few years pushing that. So we just jumped on the back of that and then did the same thing as them. We came into the market, we found a supplier, and we came into the market as a very cost-effective option compared to what was in the market at that point in time. So we came in and we classed ourselves as the Ford of fire suppression. Everyone could afford our system, whereas our competitor was a couple of levels up. Yeah. We did the same thing, but we were cheaper. So that was Fireward. Fireward is now a £5 or £6 million company. Again, started it from a startup, sat in a room and thought of the name. Yeah. You brought up earlier, Fireward.
No, ward, like the warden, like you'd have a ward. I mean, we'd have fire wardens back in the army or wherever it was in the bits and stuff. You'd have a fire warden,
and they look after the fact that whether there's a fire, and our systems do the same automatically. So we run that business for 2 or 3 years, and we weren't particularly pleased with our supplier. They weren't coming to the party with looking into the future and looking at what we needed in our sector. They had their own business that had been going on for a long time. They weren't particularly interested. So we actually found a small family company, which was a competitor to our supplier. We bought them in 2016, and
where were they, Sam? Whereabouts?
They're based in Scotland.
Right,
family company, 3 people, relocated it down to Essex with none of them. That was a learning curve.
You took all the knowledge and the processes and stuff.
Yeah, no, I didn't take any of that. We literally bought the business, paid £1 million for it. What we did was, because they were a small family company, that they saw that we were being supplied by this other big company.
Yeah.
And we asked them to come down and see us, and they thought they were going to come down and see us and get all our work. And they sat in front of us and we said, well, we want to buy you. And the owner just went, give me £1 million and you can have us. And, you know, when someone says something, you think, okay, it's not going to be a penny less than that. That's his number. Yeah. So Ed and I went, right, we need to get hold of £1 million. Got hold of that. And then we went to, that was the start of the biggest learning curve of our life. You know, you think you're good at something, and sometimes you think you're good at something you haven't done before.
Yeah. Listen, listeners and viewers, what Sam just said there is so cool, because we were told we needed to have £1 million, so we went and got £1 million.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's off the cuff, but as entrepreneurs, it's kind of the way we do things. We find a building and then work out how to buy it. In my case, but. You know, and getting that money, easy, hard, punitive?
It was interesting.
That means I can't really tell you.
I can give you a
under
bit
the
of,
sofa.
I can give you I can give you a high level overview. So we're in the waste industry, so we know some interesting people. The waste industry is obviously, you know,
but it's whatever it takes.
It's whatever. Yeah. So we used some of our contacts to get hold of the money. I think we were quite lucky we didn't take the money from the first person that we were going to take the money.
Sam.
Yeah,
I've been in these meetings. They'd be owning you now.
I would literally be probably in a cage in the corner of his. So I could just picture that as well. But that because things go wrong, and when we bought it, we were what was this, 2016. So, you know, it was 10 years ago. I was 30, thought I knew more than I did. We were a bit overconfident. And when we bought the business, we found out that we brought some great bits, but we brought a basket case, basically. Right. It had no systems and processes. It had no designs. It had no drawings. And one of the biggest, we brought it for the valve. Our valve is reactons and only reactons. And it come from the original design that we brought. It's had loads of iterations now, but that didn't work properly. It worked perfectly if you had one cylinder, but our systems, we bolted.
You piggybacked them on.
We piggybacked them on. So as soon as we put 2 in, it kind of worked, but not very well. And at 3, it didn't work. So for
£1 million, just to get this right, for £1 million, you got a valve that didn't really work.
Exactly that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So that was.
But then that's a good thing of, did I make the right decision, Sam, or I make the decision right?
I make the decision right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it commonly is sometimes like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You make these decisions and you go, that's it. All the bridges are burnt behind me. So now we need to make it actually happen.
Someone said, you know, people say, do you regret it? Again, it comes back down to that I don't regret it, because if I hadn't have done that, then we wouldn't be where we are now. Now, was it a good deal?
Big learning curve as well. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
no. But then where would you have got forward? You know, you need to get forward somehow.
Yeah.
And if the other party weren't coming towards and warming towards you and going to help you, you know, I think it's a great thing that you go, that's okay, I'll do it myself. And it kind of is a steely thing to say, isn't it? Yeah. But it does actually make everybody bristle up a bit and go, oh, blimey, what are we doing now? No, we'll just do it ourselves. I like that. Is this a good time to start an e-commerce business? I mean, would you do it? I know you're 6 years in on yours, but would you do it?
I think it's never been easier to start an e-commerce business. Right. You've got platforms, software like Shopify. You can probably build a website within a week, and that costs $30 a month. They have templates. It's very easy to use. You've got things like Canva, which is it helps with your design work. You've got ChatGPT, which wasn't around when we started Happy Stride. I don't need to talk about how ChatGPT can help you. I think it's never been easier. It's not expensive, $30 a month, but I think the things you have got to look into is, like launching any business, you've got to look at the market you're launching in. It's about the product you're launching in. It's got to be a product like a niche. You can look at things like a niche, like we did with colourful running shorts, within a bigger market. But it's got to be, you've really got to research the market, the product, how much is it going to cost to advertise, all of those sorts of things before you jump in.
You were saying before the pre-chat, on the pre-chat, you were saying to me, the sense of community is something that's really, really worked for your business, and you've built that up and worked hard to achieve that.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's 9 million runners in the UK, and getting our brand is Instagram first. Before we went on, when we came up with the name of Happy Stride, we went on Instagram to make sure the @handle was available before going on Company's House. That's how important it was to us. We knew we were going to be a social media brand first. Yeah. So, as I said, we use Instagram to post lots of content around our community, photos of people at parkrun, at races, on their runs, etc.
So, all things running, and you're actually a runner, like a lifestyle runner yourself, aren't you?
Yes.
Say what you said in the pre-chat. How many bloody marathons have you done?
I've done 70 marathons and ultra marathons.
Wow! And you're coming up to doing like £1 million turnover. You're doing thousands and thousands of items there.
Yeah.
For younger people listening, or people that wanting to get into this space.
Yeah.
We just put a few things up and bang a few things out.
Yeah. What's
the real story?
It's really not that easy.
No.
So we've put, for example, I think consistency is really key. We've posted on our social channels, Instagram and Facebook, every day for 4 years.
Right.
We also are on Twitter, Threads, TikTok. So we've made Happy Stride is about our community. It's a community-led brand. And our mission is to inspire happy running and exercise. Running really helps my mental health. That's I run for fitness and exercise, but I also run because it helps my mental health. And that is the core of Happy Stride. We say running makes me happy. And for a lot of people, it does. And that's the why of our business, the Simon Sinek why of our business, to inspire happy running and fitness. And we also make a donation to Calm, so a mental health charity, from every product sold, a small percentage. So how we've built the brand is we've stuck to that D2C. We have spent a lot on advertising.
Yeah. Tell our listeners and viewers, that figure, it's a big number, isn't it?
Yeah, so this year we'll probably spend about 300 grand on advertising.
That's a big number. That's a confident thing to be able to do that. But that your world is advertising. I mean, you are.
Yes, I've come from an advertising, and this is the thing, because my wife works in social media at Barclays. I've worked in outdoor advertising, mobile advertising, online advertising in London. We understand advertising, and a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable spending that much money on advertising. We're basically spending £1 and getting 3 to 4 ROAS back. So
that is quite good.
That is quite good, yes. Yeah. But what the advertising has helped us do is it's helped us scale the brand nationally across the UK. So we can, with Meta and Google, you can advertise to anyone in the UK and internationally, which we can touch on in a moment. But it's helped us do that. And Happy Stride, I always say, because the majority of what we sell is colourful patterns, we do sell some blacks, greys and reds and navy blues, because I want anyone who comes on our website to purchase. And we understand that not everyone likes colourful stuff. Anyway, because the majority of the stuff people are wearing is colourful, when they wear it, they're a walking billboard for us, because they go to parkrun, they go to a race, they go to their running club. And they're like, oh, where did you get them from? Yeah. We've even had it where people meet each other through wearing Happy Stride. Yeah. They go to the parkrun and they go up and talk to each other because they've got the same.
Because it gives them something to hook into as a conversation.
Exactly.
I am the go-to person if you want to sit down and be fairly brutal about your numbers, but also about your quality, also about your lifestyle, creating, like you just said, the key is that to have the space in your head and the time and money to go, okay, how do I get those staff? There's no good moaning about staff. People will take a lowest line of resistance if they can. And we've all been on the receiving end of poor service, and that it's leadership comes from the top. It's why the NHS is in so much trouble. Leadership,
I agree.
It filters down. So
I don't think entrepreneurs, business people, however you want to go with this, spend enough effort, time, and consideration for staff. Staff is it. It is when people say, well, the customer comes first. Not in my book. My staff come first, and then the customer is next on the agenda. But I can't give great customer service without very well trained and organised staff on the right seats, on the bus, in the right order. All that has to start first. And I think more so in your business that whole thing of your process and fit for purpose.
I have to send someone out who might be 18 or 70. We've got carers of every age at 8 o'clock on a Friday night when someone's been sent home from hospital with a whole load of medication that isn't the same as when they went into hospital, and know that they will feel confident and comfortable to do whatever needs to happen, whether that's pick up the phone and report it, don't give the medicine. We've had angry members of families in people's homes wanting to, they're extraordinarily vulnerable out in the community, and they need to know that we've got their back. They need to know that they have boundaries. So people will say I love my carers, but actually that's a privilege. That's a privilege to be a friend. We are friendly professionals, and training people who come into the care sector that it's okay to step back and let the rest of the team take over. You might be absolutely on your knees, exhausted because of what's going on at home, your own grief, and then you're walking into a house where someone's dying, and you've got to be able to stay really calm and focused and positive and make the sandwiches and make the tea and support that family. If you haven't got it to give, you need to know that you pick up the phone and I will say, let's get Jane out of there and put someone else in for a bit. That's why the people who run my team on a database, John and Carl, they're superb at that. They're superb, but there's early warning system that is actually the carers are. We have said to people, we have picked our customers sometimes and said to people, we can't function like this because you clearly don't trust us. Right. And it's about politely letting a customer and their family go, because if I can't protect my staff in there because someone's being too aggressive.
That's your priority, isn't it? For the staff?
It is.
I thank you, and I thank you on this podcast for helping me. My mum passed away early part of this year, and when we were experienced carers that I'd never experienced in my life, I reached out to you and I asked some questions, and within a flash, you gave me like 5 or 6 pointers to look for of how to deal with it, how to understand it, what to look for. And I was very, very lucky that the local authority carers were a great team. And then Mari Carey came in right at the very end and helped us. But it was a completely thing that I'd never experienced before. No. And those people coming into this, it's very strange, isn't it?
It is. It's really strange. And you're knee deep in the one. You only have 2 parents, most of us. So, you're only going to go through that once, and you get one chance to get end of life care, right? And people will never forget it. So you can tell that story and you will remember every minute of their last 24 hours or the last thing. And if that's been clunky or unkind or painful, and I did an interview last week for Sky News around the assisted dying bill, and one of the things about that is it's not about whether I have an opinion on whether that is the right way to die or not. What's important is that I know how to support my team should they change those rules, because the rules at the moment we deal with, end of life care is very carefully done. And sometimes it's an unexpected death. Someone can walk in and find that someone passed away quite peacefully in their sleep overnight. So those really sensitive times of your life as a family we're there to be professional about that and know what to say, you know.
Yeah.
I think I told you to hold your mum's hand or massage it.
Yeah.
And it's just that the person who's frightened, who doesn't know whether to touch somebody or how to behave around the person who's dying, it's really tough, isn't it? And I've done it, and it's not easy.
Caroline, it was extraordinary because you told me those things, and I didn't know whether my mum could hear me or this, that, and the other. The carers turned up. I stayed overnight, many nights, and the carers turned up, and they're, hello, Betty, morning, it's Sarah here, and this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, oh God, you're being a bit noisy.
Oh, you know, she's dying here.
Dying. What's going on? And you could see my mum's eyes and everything all moving because she knew that she was there, and she was pleased to see her. And I learnt so much from your tips that you gave me, but from the carers themselves. And I sat down with them. And those lovely, lovely ladies came to my mum's funeral, all three of them. Yeah. And I'll just, big shout out to them. So, I'm sure they might not watch this, but they are parts of the community. Yeah. And we do a thing here, Caroline. We have the registrars, and every year we do a registrars tea party for them, so they can all meet up for their. Essex is the busiest county for signing off weddings. Yeah. They do the most wedding certificates, and I do a little speech there, and I say, you guys bring us into this world. You join us, and then you see us at the other end. And it was kind of, that whole thing. Well, them carers in that journey were very integral to the end, and they were a super. And it's
a skilled job.
Oh, God,
every time I see a newspaper article or a radio thing, it's like the unskilled workforce of care. I want to throw the radio out the window. It's not unskilled. No. It might be underrated and underpaid and all that, but there is a point where not everyone can do it. No. And everyone knows not everyone can do it. No. But what people will say is, I couldn't do that because they cite it around incontinence products. Yeah. But actually, it's way more than that. And sometimes it's not even that, And I think that compassionate person who can take the time to just breathe with somebody and talk to somebody who's dying and know how to do that is priceless.
Yeah. I mean, they would just constantly be having a conversation with my mum the whole time
how
they were there.
How reassuring is that?
And they were just chatting away, and we're going to get your hair done today. All those little things that I know my mum would have appreciated. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know about Baddow Park Mastermind. I have created a mastermind for high-level entrepreneurs. There's only 16 spaces and we've only got a few left. If you often find you're the biggest fish in the pond at other masterminds, click the link in the pod description because this might be just for you. Now, back to the pod.
Even now, I was joking the other day where people ask me sort of what I do, and it's often met with a sort of blank face and a bit of a nod of, okay.
People ask me what do you say? What with the quick answer to somebody you haven't seen for ages, what do you say?
I mean, I change it every time, just for fun to see what happens. But sometimes I say I own a craft company, and they're like, what craft? What do you do? Sometimes I say e-commerce, and they go, I don't know what that is. Yeah. Sometimes I say I make cross-stitch kits, and they go, isn't that lovely?
Right. Isn't that might be the easiest
nice?
Dull answer to say.
Yeah, I change it. Yeah. But most of the time it's met with the same smile and nod, which is fine by me.
So how did you go then with the twister? Why cross stitch? And do I understand? Before we go much further, does James Martin understand cross stitch? Do you understand it, Oliver? No. So explain that. Let's do that bit.
Okay. So cross stitch is basically it's a bit like embroidery. So you have a flat piece of fabric, but it's gridded. So it would be like a normal piece of cotton, but it's got a grid on it, so there are holes. So instead of having a fine weave like the fabrics and the clothes we're wearing, it's got a very obvious grid to it. And you have a needle and a piece of thread, which is cotton, and you basically make crosses. So if you've ever seen pixel art, you can turn any photo, illustration into pixels, and each square or pixel is represented by a cross of the thread. So you're painting with thread, you're making pictures. So it's flat, and people frame it or put it in a hoop
And what are they doing? Freestyle, or you're giving material with patterns that they do?
Yeah, we give the patterns as well.
Okay,
So
all right.
you choose the patterns and it comes with the colours and lengths of the colour thread you need.
Okay.
And there's all different kinds of colours of fabric, type of fabrics.
Now you
So-
you sell this globally, don't you?
Yeah, over 30 countries.
So this is riches in niches.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely. And what else? There was something else you did as well. What was the other company? It was two companies you were saying.
Yeah, so under the sort of banner of Caterpillar Crafts,
Yeah.
the main one is Caterpillar Cross Stitch. And then in May of this year, we also launched Caterpillar Crochet.
Okay.
Because we'd done loads of research and 25% of people who cross stitch also crochet.
Okay.
And we built up such a following
So they are your
and systems and
audience, yeah.
processes. We thought, it's a very similar thing to do, which is make a kit, have a design, do video tutorials, but it's just making something in crochet than cross stitch.
And you were telling me in the pre-chat that you had a mindset that once you started this, that you wanted to own the PI for it and not do it as something that someone else is shipping for you, or you're buying the product in from China and reselling it.
Yeah.
That I did find quite incredible that you actually make all of this in your own factory and warehouse shipping yourself, don't you?
Everything from start to finish,
Wow.
which, everyone makes different decisions based on sort of what suits them. But when I was on maternity leave, which is when I started thinking about the business, I probably had a list of about 20 different criteria. And I didn't want to sort of negotiate on that. I didn't want to settle. So I spent a year basically trying to find something that would fit the bill. And one of those was something that I created the design for, that no one else could copy. And you already have the legal protection of copyright, so no one can copy original artwork. And I wanted to control every element. Can you tell I'm a control freak? Every element of that, every stage of the whole process from start to finish.
The interesting what you just said there, was maternity leave, because we've had a couple of other entrepreneurs on, and Sam, the florist, she hatched her business out in maternity. How am I going to do this? She had a big job, and how am I going to carry on doing the big job and maternity?
Yeah.
And she brought it all in-house and worked it all from home. So it's obviously something in that crossroads of your head, what happens to you at that time of your life. You're thinking, how is this going to work? How am I going to survive all this?
Yeah, for sure.
And make it all work?
I think for me anyway, sort of every 10 years of life, I seem to have like a little life crisis of what am I doing? And I'm always one of those people that plans 10, 20 years ahead. So I was 30 when I was on maternity leave. And there's definitely something about, having a small human, but also having that time off, not off work, but off what you were doing before. And actually I'd worked my entire life since I was 15 and had always worked full time. So actually I'd never had a period of my adult life where I wasn't just in an office 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So although I was incredibly busy with a baby and sleep deprived, I did kind of have the headspace to think outside the box and think, actually, my entire life doesn't have to be in law. And I could have gone back, full time, and the baby would have gone to nursery.
Yeah.
We didn't have any family nearby, so it would have been nursery, which is quite expensive. But I just really didn't want to. I just wanted to be in control and be able to work when I wanted and to be at home. And I don't like being told what to do. So I just thought,
No, none of us
I
like
want
that.
to be.
We don't like being told to.
No,
I'm
not a good employee.
When you actually got this thing going, what for listeners and viewers, they want to see, what was the hardest thing to learn to get the thing going? What was that hardest sort of bit of getting the jigsaw puzzle to actually earn money? Was it buying the product? Was it setting the website up? How did that all work out?
This isn't a great answer, but I don't think there was one thing in particular. It was basically everything. I think the greatest challenge was probably mindset of when there's a problem, when something goes wrong, is not quitting.
Yeah.
And I always say, when people say like, what's the secret to success or what's your advice? It's just do not quit.
Yeah.
Expect things to go horribly wrong all the time. And you'll never be disappointed. So if you go in there with the resilience of already thinking, okay, it's going to hit the fan. I'm going to have to deal with all this today. It's not going to be smooth sailing. That when that does happen, you're expecting it and you're ready.
Yeah.
So whether stock is delayed from overseas, whether there's customers who are complaining about something that's out of your control, something happens on social media, there's people who've breached our intellectual property where I've had to then contact them and the legal backgrounds come in handy.
Yeah.
I think that people having opinions on what you're doing is hard, and not taking things to heart is hard as well when someone's complaining.
It is, as an owner, that is a bit of a thing, isn't it? We get a complaint here, very rare, by the way. But you know, someone trips up a step. Oh, we need to change that step to a ramp. Not necessarily. You know, they're one of few, and people can have opinions. That doesn't make it the opinion.
Yeah.
It's just someone's opinion of something. So how did we get into media and so? Tell us what happened. What happened?
So I was a holiday rep.
Okay.
According to the Saturday Telegraph, I was the worst holiday rep in the world. Front page news, apparently. I never saw the article.
Right.
They were probably right.
Yeah.
And then I was a hotel entertainer.
Okay.
Which might not surprise you.
Right.
So I used to do like the singing and dancing shows in hotels. And then I was in bands and stuff like that, and did touring stuff. And then I was like, do you know what? I need a proper job, because I was away, you know, all of the summer holidays.
So a flamboyant show off is really where you started
essentially,
to do it. Yeah.
Which, you know, was quite obvious to my parents early, I think. And then I just needed to, the music industry was a dodgy old place, and I was like, I need a proper job here. Right. So I got into broadcast PR. The slight challenge was I didn't know what broadcast PR was. I just thought it sounded cool. I was like, does that mean I'm going to be on Radio 1? Like, it surely must do. And I fell in love. I loved radio because I listened to it when I was on. You know, I used to tour all around the country, and I'd listen to hours and hours and hours of radio, especially like late night radio, because we do gigs at night. So I love like late night formats of content. And so then I went into broadcast PR, and I worked with, you know, very, very quickly, because I was quite good at selling. Had the gift of the gab, again, extreme show off. I ended up working with like Thomas Cook and Nando's and Xbox and all these huge companies within 18 months. And I was like an account director within 18 months and all this sort of stuff. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just was good at selling. And then I was like, I love radio, but I'd like to be on the other side of the microphone. So that's how it all started. And I found a radio station, a digital radio station that played new and unsigned music. And I was like, this is really cool. And I just tweeted them, and the CEO tweeted me back and was like,
money? Was there any money? Or was it just
it was just a PAYE job.
Yeah, okay.
PAYE job, you know. It was I was like 24 or something like that. Lived at home with.
But
my
you're just
mum and
not.
dad
You're notching up the experience thing. So there's a bit of a resume thing being built up from that.
Yeah, and again, I got headhunted from that first job very quickly. So I went on to another quite poorly paid job, but in a slightly better location. And I was just getting myself close to the thing. Right. I was in 5 Golden Square, which was next door to Absolute Radio. So like, if I get close. I thought proximity. I think there's power in proximity.
Yeah,
if I get close,
or rubbing up against where you want to be and the stuff you want to be involved in. Yeah.
And then I tweeted this radio station, and the CEO was like, "Oh, thanks very much." I was like, "I think it's really cool what you're doing." He was like, "Oh, we're taking on presenters." I was like, "I want to be a presenter," and that was it. And then I was on a digital radio station 6 months later, doing their weekend breakfast show.
My nephew has moved from Texas to the village next to Silverstone racetrack.
Right.
Where's that? Oxfordshire.
Yeah, it's out that. Yeah.
Oxfordshire. So he's near the race. He wants to be a racing engineer.
Oh, really?
He sent all his CVs and stuff and got nowhere. He's now made more headway being a waiter in a pub. That they all come in.
Yeah.
And they've given him all the contacts.
Great move.
I'm telling you, he's moving stuff. He's getting positions in there, getting weekend work experience. I mean,
that's what you got to do.
Wow, you know. So go on, I digress. Go.
No, but I think that's a real. If this is for entrepreneurs and business people, I think there's a real superpower in being willing to make moves like that, even if you can't see the end value necessarily from day one. There is huge value in doing all of those sorts of things Exactly what I did. Like I literally moved to Golden Square because it was where Absolute Radio
And
was
then
based.
how did the first day of presenting go?
Well, it was all right. Well, we did quite well.
All energy and no content.
Yeah, pretty much. It was all pre-recorded. We had a good shtick, me and my co-host,
Right.
And we had done really well. We were full of bluster and bravado and all the rest of it. And very quickly people loved the show. But then they brought in the ex-head of Radio 1. So it was the maddest radio station. This was another reason I wanted to be involved in it. So it was the apprentice to the Director General who had set it up, who's the youngest ever apprentice at the BBC. Right. Decided he hated the BBC. Played those big drums, the timbra or whatever. Really eclectic geezer. Right. Ended up dating a supermodel and based in Newcastle. The whole thing was mad. It was the ex-CTO of the BBC, who was the other person. They took over Century Radio's building at Gateshead. So there was like a space for like 400 staff and there was like 20 of us. And then they brought in the ex-head of Radio 1 as the head of content, a guy called Trevor the Hatchet Dan. So I was like, I just want to be around all of these sorts of people. So it went really well. Again, useful, the gift of the gab. Again, play to the skills that you've got. We very quickly realised that actually we were playing new and unsigned music. So we had the biggest collection of unsigned music in the country that wasn't terrible sort of jazz panpipes or knockoff versions of the Beatles. And someone in a meeting went, why are we not selling this into like companies to use this instead of like PRS registered music, which you'll know very well here. PRS and PPL licenses are a fortune.
Fortunes, yeah.
And so Paul Campbell, who's the CEO, who's a guy I've still got a lot of respect for and a good relationship with, he was like, would you head that up and see if we can make something of this? I was like, cool. So I just started cold calling
sales
shops.
and yeah.
So I did. So we got it into 99p stores and Thornton's Chocolates and British Heart Foundation. And we basically worked out how we could create this license-free
and
music.
not even not covers, just that they're genuine.
Genuine, yeah. So tracks. So it's bands like Jungle and London Grammar before they popped and were big. Like it was a breeding ground for this talent, and there was a monetization model.
Wow.
Which also came in useful because Trevor Dan swiftly sacked me from the radio. He's like, you were literally the worst radio presenter I've ever heard. Which I was a bit offended with, but the day before he turned up at the station, we were running a feature called Cheese or Breeze, where I'd climb onto the fourth floor and I'd throw 2 lumps of cheese out, and listeners had to guess which one would land first. Is it going to be the gorgonzola or the brie? Cheese or Breeze?
That sounds like good
which
radio.
Which we thought was brilliant.
And
he
you
was
do
like,
love a jingle, don't you?
I do love a jingle. That's where it comes from. So yeah, he phoned me the next day and he said, he came in and said, we're making some sweeping changes. And he phoned me the next day. I was a bit hungover because I was in those days, because you have to in media. I thought that was part of the job. And he said, do you remember I said yesterday, sweeping changes? I said, I do, Trevor. I'm excited for them. He said, you won't be, because my first sweeping change, I'm getting rid of you. You and your mate are just awful.
Wow.
It's not that I don't like your show. I actually hate it. And you're gone. And I was like, okay, cool. And Paul Campbell was like, well, you can't sack him because he heads up our music sales. So that was kind of what I did.
You were moved.
So I was moved.
Right,
I was moved on.
Relocated. Yeah.
Relocated, yeah. My services were no longer required.
And where are you now? How old are you now at this stage?
41, I am. 41, 42.
And then how old were you when you got relocated?
I was 25.
Right. So you're still a puppy. You were just running around, just young. Doing stuff.
And it was weird as well. So I was working at... The radio station was based in Gateshead in Newcastle. Yeah. Or not Newcastle, in Gateshead in Newcastle, because the Geordies go mad for that. Yeah. 2 separate places, man. Yeah. I was in Gateshead, which is right next to Newcastle, but I was working at home. I would go and record there like once every 2 weeks for a day, because we'd pre-record the shows. And then the rest of the time I was literally cold calling 99p stores, which you can imagine how interesting that is from home in South London,
it must have been
in a 2-bed flat in the winter. And then that same year, my dad passed away. So then I found myself at 26 years old. I've lost like my hero. I've been sacked from this job that I really wanted. I'm now trying to I'm cold calling every day, and people didn't, making cold calls that no one wants to receive.
And what did you pause out? What did Dad do? What was his?
He was an accountant.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
And did that not ever get into your DNA?
No, luckily not. Luckily not. No,
because you definitely wouldn't be sitting here
no,
now, which
luckily
is a boring farm.
No, exactly. No, he had his own company with 3 other partners, and they had sold it. But it was really interesting with my dad, because everyone else around that accountancy practice that he owned, all the kids did very well, and they all went into finance, and they were all very numbers focused, and they were smart, and they went to grammar schools and went to uni. And my dad was like, just do what makes you happy, as long as you do
cool.
the best that you can at the thing that you do.
It's
like,
cool that he allowed you to have that freedom and that endorsement to do that.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
So he had passed away. He'd been ill for like 5 years. So I'd watched him sort of get iller and iller, and I just remember having been sacked. My dad died in October. I got sacked. The previous month I'd been sacked. Oh, then the day that my dad died, I was like, I need to go out and get some fresh air and clear my head. I'm going to go for a run. Snapped my ankle. So I ended up back at A&E 12 hours later in the same hospital where my dad's just died. And I'm like, hello, I'm back again. And they're like, what is going on here? Wow. So I'm now on crutches. I've lost my dad. The job that I wanted, I haven't got.
So this is proper doom and gloom period.
Honestly, I would, and I take pride in sharing this now because I think it's important that people know it's all right to go through that sort of a period. Every lunchtime, and I don't know what it was about lunch, because I like lunchtime. It's my favourite time of the day. I would put a soup on. I'd hobble from doing my cold calls. I'd hobble on my crutches into the kitchen of my little 2-bedroom flat. I'd turn the soup on, and I'd sit on the floor, and I'd just cry. And I would cry for 20 minutes till my soup was done. And I'd sort of go, okay. And I'd have my soup and then I'd go back to cold calling.
Compartmentalisation of misery.
It was so weird. And my wife would come home because she sort of went out to work at 7 o'clock and would come home at sort of 6 o'clock. And I was like a dog waiting for her at the door. I'm like, I'm so glad you're back. She's like, are you okay today? And I'm like, she went, did you do the crying over the soup thing? I'm like, yep, done it again today. Wow. And I was like, I've just got to go and do something else.
You have an extraordinary business, and it's an extraordinary way it's done online for... can we just do the name of Valente?
Valente, yeah.
Valente. And that this is a brand very similar to high-end candles and scents. And
100%.
What other products? Well, it's just not just candles, is it?
Candles, reed diffusers, which are our biggest part of our business. We also do skincare items, soaps and body washes and things like that. But home fragrance is really what we do best. We're quite unknown, but probably one of the largest now UK manufacturers of home fragrance.
Okay.
And we're a little bit different. Most companies in the space, we're direct to consumer. So what that means is we're selling direct to the customer through our own website, a little bit on Amazon, and we're not selling through shops. That has got positives and negatives to it, but it means that we tend not to get noticed very much, and has allowed us to grow.
But listeners and viewers, this is like £25 million turnover business and growing and growing. What did you tell me off air? You said you've grown 50 times?
We're 50 times bigger than we were in 2000 and at the end of 2019.
Wow.
We've got, including agency staff, we've got more than 200 staff now, whereas in the end of 2019 we had 5 staff. And we were really one of these COVID success stories, I suppose. Okay. We came into COVID. At the end of 2019, we had sales of 500,000 a year. We were doing consumer shows. So you'd have seen us at the Ideal Home Show, at county shows, at the RHS Flower shows. And all of those shows, we manufacture all the products ourselves. And we were trading from a small unit on a dairy farm. And COVID came along, all the shows were cancelled. We had a tiny online business, but it really was very small. And we had to go online, so we were forced to. And we got the bounce back loan. So we were big enough to get the full bounce back loan, so the 50,000. We'd never had £50,000 in the bank before. And suddenly we were able to go after online. And ironically, online was always the business I wanted to build. I had a background in online.
Even back then, is that what you wanted to do? You're trawling around doing the shows and dragging yourself around the country 100%. Doing that, but you had that in your head.
Yeah, and that weirdly was my background. You know, I'd spent the late 2000, I'd had a business go bust in 2006. And then from 2007 to 2011, I was building web applications for people. So that was what I was doing.
For other people, yeah.
And so COVID came along, all the shows. So we started advertising on Facebook, and that first week we spent £1,000 on ads. By the end of that first year, we'd spent just under £1 million, and that really catapulted the growth. It was like being attached to a rocket ship, and there was a window of opportunity there which was unique to its time. When you think back and remember COVID, what happened in the advertising space is all the big advertisers suddenly panicked. Everyone retrenched and stopped advertising. So Facebook advertising is highly competitive. It's technical. It's difficult to get right. And when you are new to it, it's very expensive. Like, you make mistakes, you don't get the ads right. So normally it's so expensive to learn those lessons. Whereas we had this window of opportunity where it was just much easier. There was a natural, it's always easier to swim in a fast flowing channel. Yeah. And we were swimming at the very time when everyone wanted to shop online. They were into wellness because of the effects of COVID at the very same time as the big advertisers weren't there. So we had a 2 or 3 month window.
And look, were they not there? Had they pulled back?
They literally pulled back.
Really?
They had the COVID advertising was a stage of a kind of a tale of two different types of companies.
It's a bit like the Wild West. It happened. There were those opportunities. You saw it,
and you had some big advertisers. Coke, I think, for example, continued advertising through COVID, whereas most other big brands stopped.
Right.
They just completely shut down their spend. So it just made it cheaper.
And
so,
do the number for listeners and viewers. What do you currently, on average, spend a day a week? Right. Do that number, because this is going to blow your mind.
So I have to put this in context, because we're coming into Christmas now. So I've actually just cut the spend down. So if I give you what our spend was a month ago, we were spending about 650,000 a month. So around 24,000 pounds a day. And a mixture virtually...
Look, that's seriously big balls.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But you've got I'm saying you've got the mechanics of it. That's how it has to be.
No, it doesn't have to be that. And we've just reversed out of that, to be fair. Now, because we need to prioritise our profitability, and it's very hard to spend that level of spend profitably. You are basically investing and acquiring customers, so you get diminishing returns, and the acquisition cost rises as you spend more money. And it's almost a direct graph, like you spend more money and your acquisition cost just rises and rises.
And can you see on that row, can you see where you're getting retention on customers?
We've got massively high retention. That's what underpins our entire business model. So when you look at our retention, 80% of our transactions are returning customers. It takes 30 days for about 20% to come in and make a second purchase. And we typically peak at around 55 to 60% of customers will make multiple purchases.
But are those repeats triggered by the more advertising?
No, so in the main, no, because we have a massive email list for more than 400,000 people on our email list. And so the bulk of those return sales come from email. But we have a nominal spend on Facebook. Currently, it's about 1,400 to 2,000 per day on our existing customers. And if we ratchet that completely down, that would have a material impact on our sales to returning customers. So in the main, we're trying to spend money on new customer acquisition, but you have to be super mindful of that, because when you grow, the wheels can so easily come off. Like, it's, you grow aggressively, and I have an expression inside the business: we earn the right to get bigger. And if you haven't earned that right, if you haven't created the structure, the business processes and everything around that to support the bigger size, the wheels come off. And when the wheels come off, it's painful.
Because your story goes back to how you'd financed and bootstrapped it to the position you've got, and you'd taken out, and you still are having to take out in different parts of the season, these punitive loans, because you were on the end of year accounts, it was showing that there was a loss, and this wasn't going down well with going to a more conventional high street lender, and you're still having to do that. But you're on the way to repairing that, and that repair is going to really make a massive difference, isn't it?
It's life changing for the business, because we've been paying just under 5% per month to borrow money, and when you're borrowing,
Luke, it is. I'm just interrupting you there. People watching and listening to this, the story of these businesses created by these entrepreneurs. Read Ant Branson's book. He did it. Crikey, I did it. It's only in my latter years now, Luke, that I've got out of that, and I'm with some big noise banks now that I've got really good rates, but it's taken a hell of a long time to get there and be what I refer to as being fit for finance. And I think that's what you're just about to tell us now, is how you go and what you're doing. That's what I'd like to know now, is how are you going from these punitive charges of having to, this is the only way I'm going to do it, to what can happen next for you?
I think the steps that we've gone was, first of all, acknowledging them and admitting them, because you get trapped in this kind of treadmill, and you can't always being an entrepreneur is a very lonely process, and you don't necessarily. I had nobody around me who was either running a business of the size that I was, or had built one before. So you're not necessarily getting access to great advice. So the first thing was figuring out we needed that, and then what came from that was I searched out I was fortunately found a chairman who really shone a light, held a mirror up at actually what we were doing, how punitive that was, and how reactive it was making the business. So what he essentially encouraged me to do was to first of all focus on margin as the sanity of the business, because he felt our margins were too low. He got me to focus on building out a senior team who knew exactly what. I mean, our objective is to get to 100 million in sales over the next 2 or 3 years.
Because just pause on that. That's what you want to. But just up to this point, this has only happened in the last 6 to 8 months, isn't it?
Less. It's I met him I think it's about 4 months ago.
Okay, and just up to that point, you have been doing all of those hats, haven't you?
Everything on my
own.
own.
You've been doing from accountancy right through to marketing, to branding, to
ads, to operations. I mean, don't forget we manufacture everything. So we do our own fulfillment. Yeah. So we are unusual in complexity, and actually one of the things I'm doing at the moment is trying to reduce complexity, because we are developing the products in-house, we are manufacturing those products in-house, we are wrapping and fulfilling our own orders and shipping them out, and then we're doing the marketing on top, which is just crazy when you think about it. Even though I've got 200 people, you are constantly fighting on so many different fronts, and that needs to stop.
Would you give any of those parts of that out? Or is it
100%.
Imperative that
no, 100%.
You would give some of that out to sub?
I went last week. I was fortunate to be invited to the Hut Group, who are a big player in our space, a multi-billion-pound company.
And when you say your space, what do they do then?
So the Hut Group own My Protein. They own Look Fantastic.
Okay.
A series of e-commerce brands.
These are proper e-commerce monsters.
I mean, I don't. Their sales are 2 or 3 billion a year, so they're massive. And I was fortunate to get invited to see their new fulfillment centre in Manchester. So we are shipping inside my business. We are shipping currently, right at the moment, about 2,500, 2,600 orders a day, 7 days a week. I suppose at peak we'll probably get up to about 3,500 or 4,000 orders a day.
God, these are big numbers.
Right, to put it in context, though, they are big numbers, but to put that in context, the Hut Group, when I was there a week ago, were shipping 600,000 orders a day. Right? Wow. Within 15 minutes of an order being placed on the website, it's been shipped. You can order up to 1 a.m. in the morning. Now, that's all completely automated with robots, like you see with Ocado, if you've ever seen their operation. And it's like, why am I trying to compete with that? Yeah. Like they can do that better and cheaper than us. Yeah. Let's not do that in-house, and let's think about concentrate where we can make a difference.
So what Laughology does is we are a culture organisation, really. Right. We go into organisations, and under the spectrum of culture, we look at how managers manage, how leaders think differently, all through the lens of humour, how you can present, how you create teams that are engaged in change, how you get people to learn differently when there is change going on. Yeah. Because a lot of workplaces, they just don't know how to talk to people.
And change, when you're building teams that change, people don't like change. I mean, and you've got to deliver it to them in a way that they can see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, here we're a very close community. I was talking about people having a career, not a job. Yeah. We try and find people that are going to fit. Strange, isn't it? I think they're quite capable to do the job, but will they fit in to the team and the community that we've already got running? And the other thing that I think is really, really crucial is that they are hard-working, happy people. And happiness, I know you're on today, but when I was thinking about it, we're coming in this morning, that happiness, people happy at work, is either that or forget it. I mean, why would you come in? Why would you bother?
Yeah, and people have this really odd idea of happiness.
Yeah.
That means that then, happy at work, it's happy clappy. That means we can't ever have difficult conversations or challenge people. And absolutely the opposite is true. If you get the foundations right, where you get people feeling that they can challenge you, that they're safe, that they've got a brilliant relationship, that you have a laugh, that you have a friend at work, then actually you're more likely to be able to have people who engage in change, who are challenged, who can have those difficult conversations. But it's not about this idea that we'll never have a bad day.
What's your definition of happiness? That's a good question. What's your definition of happiness? How would you describe that back to someone?
So happiness is fleeting. And we have moments of joy within that. But I always talk about there are 5 key things that help us to be happy. So first one is coping skills, because we can't be happy all the time. So knowing how to get by in life. You've got positive relationships, support and community. So supporting others and also getting support. But supporting others is really, really key. And like you said, that community. Learning, continually learning, and having purpose and feeling included.
I think that's where I'd be with you on that. Is that whilst you're growing, you're happy. That whole thing of learning more means that you're not stale, if for a better word, but you're growing and happy. Yeah. And
I worry about where we're going with this idea as well, because you're right, growing is so important, and not just growing but stretching. And I worry about where we're going with this idea that stress should not be part of that, that stress and anxiety is part of growing, that actually for us to fail and fail catastrophically, and for us to be offended, and for us to be put in positions where we don't know what to do, that's when the brain stretches and grows. And we've got to this point, especially in workplaces and in schools, where we're saying stress is bad and anxiety is bad. It's not.
No, it's not. No,
it should be part of it.
I did a post in the week talking about that stress is a privilege.
Yeah.
Stress is a privilege, and as entrepreneurs, we bring it on ourselves,
Yeah.
and we do, because that's what we're like. I've this whole happiness thing. I think it's to do with the people that you're with that are helping you have a happy time. And this entrepreneur gig is about doing it with people. You can't just do this solo thing on its own. I also think that on happiness, it's really to do with achievement and having purpose and being upbeat and state of mind. I mean, the state of mind is a bugger, isn't it? Because you sometimes have to force it on yourself, don't you? You have to force a state of mind. Yeah. I know I come over the bridge when you come here to Badder Park Estate. It's beautiful. You come over, then you turn on the bridge, and I think you have to pick it up a step. I'm definitely in performance mode when I'm over that bridge, because I have a lot of responsibility to making sure that I radiate that out to the staff, that it is a positive place to be, and we use this as a little microclimate of happy place to work. So I'm very interested that what happens when they helicopter you into a company. How bad is it?
So it's funny that you say that about that faking it. There's times when I just don't fancy being happy.
Yeah. Especially with your job.
And I can't walk in and go, happy. I'm having one of those days. People go, oh gosh, the head of happiness here, and she's miserable. Look, there's organisations, and I can't always mention names, but there's one that they were recently... they were the new owner of something that we all use and we all know, and they're the new owner. And the old owners, the culture that they'd had, some of the people who'd worked there were quite disgruntled that the new owners had come in, and it was really important that the people who worked there were brought over and bought into this new ownership, because they had all the tacit knowledge that they're the ones that are going to keep it going.
Yeah.
And it was my job to get them talking to the new people who'd been brought in, and it was really difficult, and also going in to workplaces, I don't ever go, right, we're going to be happy. The important thing is to say it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel upset about this. But also, we can also draw a line, and we can either say, I'm going to stay here in this narrative, making myself and others miserable, or we can look at what's in our control, what we can do, and what I can do to help this culture, to help move things forward, or sometimes I can leave.
Yeah. When we have our, we have like a Tuesday meeting of all the companies, so all the managing directors, all the heads of departments come together on a Tuesday at about 10:30. And that's a great gathering. Everybody's, some people don't work together, so they catch up and stuff. But I always try, if I attend, to make sure that meeting ends in a high, happy note, because we might be doing some tough love in that meeting. Where you were meant to bring it to us, and we're still 2 weeks down, and no one's brought it to us. So what do you want to do? Or do you not want to do it anymore? Or and it can get a bit tough love and a bit awkward, and the figures are not good. All that stuff that happens with business. I always try at the end of it to say, have something of joy to go away from, so they have just a skip in their step, and and also they have, what else am I trying to say, Steph? We care about their welfare at work, and part of their welfare is definitely that they enjoy what they do,
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think it's important that we do take responsibility for how people feel. We can't make people feel anything, but we can absolutely create an environment where people flourish, where they feel like they belong, where they feel like they can talk to you if I'm having a tough day. And then if we do all that, then the tougher conversations, they go, well, I get you've got my back, and you need to say this because actually without a business, I've not got a job.
So your business could be called Culture Executive, couldn't it? It could
but
be.
That'd be really boring, wouldn't
it would be, and I think you get better sales saying happy. It's a better title saying that. So you're moving towards all things pressed and healthy. And what did you do then? Go back on your online platform, or how did you do it?
Yeah, I thought about, first of all, thought about everything that had gone wrong with the previous business and how it could be different with this business. And I thought there's this theory called the big domino theory, where, if you want to get a business to work or want something to work, all you got to do is knock down that one big domino, go for the big domino, get that domino to fall, and then all the other dominoes will also fall. Right. So I thought, well, what's the big domino? So I knew through the days of Marvin's Magic, TV shopping, we'd done that before, QVC could potentially be a big domino. Or the other one back then was Groupon. I could see on Groupon that you could do huge, supplements was very big, and you could do 10,000 units in a day.
And then for our listeners and viewers, explain Groupon, exactly what it is.
Yeah, so Groupon is a day, I don't know if it's even still around, but it was a daily deal website where brands would put their business or their product onto Groupon, but it would be heavily discounted. Okay. The idea, or Groupon would always sell it, the idea is that it's done as a marketing exercise to then pull customers back in.
Once they've got a hold of your brand, they like it, they'll go and find you and spend more money. Okay.
What I decided, because I could see that the numbers were so huge, was this wasn't going to be a marketing exercise, was that I was potentially going to build a Groupon business.
Right, and stay on it, and that would be the funnel.
Exactly that. And after a year of hounding Groupon, eventually we got the product onto Groupon. So the product back then was called Super 11 Shake, 11 superfoods in one raw vegan health shake. We got it onto Groupon. Good timing in January, which in the health space is busiest time of year. Yeah. And bearing in mind, I'm still in my bedroom at this time. Okay. It took off like an absolute rocket. Okay. Within our first week, I think we did 5,000 units. Wow! So huge success. Very, 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 very quick.
And in those early stages, where's all this being prepared and made and done?
Yeah, so I'm literally still at home at this point. I then, literally in that week of, oh my gosh, we've now got 5,000 orders to fulfill. Go out and find warehousing. find warehousing space, put an ad up on Gumtree because we now need people to fulfill these orders, and very quickly put the whole thing together on the fly.
Wow. And that's really where you're and you've just grown that. Is it stayed as that, or has the actual products and stuff changed?
So it's grown and changed a bit over the years. We ended up a Groupon business for the first sort of 2-3 years. We became one of the largest sports nutrition and supplement resellers on Groupon. We scaled it not just in the UK but into 14 European countries.
And the brand is called what now?
The brand back then was called Super 11.
Super 11.
The brand now is called Nutriseed.
Nutriseed.
What I realised, James, with Groupon was, again, we didn't own the customer. We didn't own the customer experience, and I could see that maybe the writing was on the wall with this, that all our eggs were in one basket.
And data or no data?
No data at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they had all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you needed to.
We needed to do something.
Yeah.
It was a great cash cow. It was a very profitable business model, and actually gave me that startup capital to then launch Nutriseed.
Okay.
Yeah, we realised we needed to pivot.
And this is, James, you're now, at this stage where we're talking now, you're 100% owner of it?
Yes, yeah.
But no partners?
No
nothing?
partners. It's been completely completely bootstrapped since day one, and we've just rolled the cash over.
And then are you doing, to get to the scale where you're now, have you done bank funding, backing you and stuff? Have you borrowed to get equipment or warehousing and stuff?
We've borrowed to get warehouse. Just bought a warehouse.
Right. Okay.
So mortgages, but no.
It's very good, guys. If you're listening to this and that's a rare thing. I mean, it really is. I've had partners over the years that I don't advocate now because it all ends in tears, but you would just use them to get cash into the business and not expertise. So that's really good. So bring us up to date now. What are you doing every day now in the business? Where are you at?
In terms of my day to day, or in terms
your
of
day to day, what are you doing every day? You get up in the morning. What happens because you're now turning over how much?
This year we'll do 8 million.
8 million.
We're cruising towards those eight figures. I'm determined to get there. So I guess we're at a bit of an inflection point with the business. Yeah. There's a team there. We're a team of there's about 20 of us in the business. Yeah. But I've got nobody in the business other than myself that's really driving it forwards. So the big task at the moment is bringing in a number two, bringing in an operator, somebody that can work within the business and actually serve as a head of ops.
Right.
So that it can actually free up my time, because my time is currently quite fragmented. It's spent on that growth and on that vision and sales and marketing and trying to grow the business and take it forwards. But it's also being pulled back into the direction of ops.
Right.
And we make and manufacture. We still to this day make and manufacture all of our own products.
And is that the way will you stay with that?
Yeah. Again, sort of did that through naivety. That's quite a rare thing for a supplement brand to do.
Because they usually ship it out, don't they?
Yeah. A lot of the times they're just almost a marketing brand, and they will contract manufacture.
Yeah.
But actually, again, it gives us a bit of an edge from a margin perspective.
Okay.
During COVID, when all the factories shut and nobody could get any stock,
you were still cruising, weren't you?
Huge opportunity for us because we could keep going.
You explained it briefly. Tell us what you see the advantages of Mastermind and how, because I've been on them, I've spoke at them, I've helped people run them, but explain for people that haven't done them or been involved in them, how does the nuts and bolts of that work? A bit more context.
Well, everybody's structure is slightly different, but the reason why they work is because of relationship. The more familiar you are with somebody and their problems, their challenges, their assets, then the better the advice that you can give to them.
Right.
So in an environment where you are working with the client for, as we were through Ideal Results, we had clients that stayed with us for 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 years, and you know them, And the advice that you give is very, very different to the advice that you would give to somebody who'd been working with you for 2 months.
Yeah.
For one, you can be blunt. You
Yeah.
can be straight with them, and you
Yeah.
can say, you said you were going to do that and you haven't done that. Stop messing around. So that familiarity, understanding where you've been to their place, you know what it's like, you can talk with that context.
Yeah.
You're not in an ivory tower having read a book saying, oh, this would be a good idea for you.
Yeah.
I read
Yeah.
about another company that does what you do, and this is what they did, and why don't you try that? Instead, you're rooted in understanding stuff about their business. And it's not just you. If you get the group right, then the other people in the group will know each other. And every entrepreneur's got value to add.
Yeah.
They've all got experiences and expertise of their own that they bring to the party. And if you get the group facilitated well, then they'll share that information.
When you meet entrepreneurs, they're really just focusing on a lot of the time on stuff they don't know. They're focusing on stuff, trying to find out stuff they don't know, but they don't sometimes realise that they know so much. And it's only when I've been in those groups that you find that they will then start relaxing and hatching out their expertise into the rest of the room. That's what I've found with the groups I've been in. But I find it quite frustrating that you've got to get the kind of right businesses in the right room at the right level, because you can have a small business here with a high flying business, and people can get bored within the group because they're not getting stimulated from it, or all they're doing is contributing all the time, helping everybody else. And it really needs to go round the room in a fair way. So it's quite a judgment to get those rooms right, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you're always going to have some people that want the airtime, that love presenting and love explaining and love helping. And then you've got other people that don't want to talk at all, but they still come to meeting after meeting, and they just say, look, I'm not going to say anything today. Right. And when it's their turn, they're like that. No, I've got nothing. People are different. But yeah, the best groups would have people that all wanted to share. But over time, people are much more comfortable. At first meeting, I'm not going to tell you about that problem or that problem. That's a bit embarrassing to admit. So I'm going to fill you in. I'm not really giving you all the information that you need to really help me. Meeting 4, here's everything. Yeah. Right. Okay, now we understand why that isn't working.
They've got more familiar with the other people in the room, and the camaraderie is starting to build up.
Trust, familiarity, relationship.
And then for you, when you're running those meetings, and when I've helped run them, we find ourselves being more sort of stewards and sort of directional for what's going on in the room.
Nobody has got all of the answers. No. And the more time I've spent with smart people, the more I understand that the smarter people are happy saying, I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. I know someone that might know the answer to that, or this could be useful, or here's an idea. I don't know if it's going to work. People that are confident in their ability know where that ability ends. Yeah. Whereas people that are
that's very true.
Are pretending a little bit will just continue to give advice way beyond their own experience. Yeah.
And then what happened from that? You built that business up, and how long did that run for?
I think 9 years.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's a lot of stuff.
I know. I was so young.
Yes. That's a lot of stuff. Well, now, you're in your mid-50s.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
How old are you?
Horrible.
How old are you? Think about it.
I am thinking about it, and I am 44.
44, young puppy, you see.
And a half. What's the date today?
That's a nice 11-year-old's tone, isn't it? No,
and one day I'll be a grown-up.
Yeah,
one day. Not today.
And then what happened from there? You went through that, trawling and sweat and earning good business, earning good money.
Fantastic business. Yeah. Loved that business. Yeah. So it was a wonderful, wonderful lifestyle business. I employed friends, people that I enjoyed working with, employed their partners. Right. And we had this wonderful group of private clients that stayed with us for years and years and years and years. So it became a really lovely community. I really enjoyed every day in that business. We met very regularly. We did lots of socials. We took trips out to Portugal and Morocco, and really had the most fantastic time. It was a wonderful experience growing that business. It was my start point really as a real entrepreneur.
Right.
And I was sad to see it go. Right. But another lesson, I suppose, here. But
because you're doing a lot of different things now, aren't you? There's different stuff going on.
Yeah. So Idea Result came to an end when my two dear friends that I ran that business with for a very, very long time decided that they would very much like to run their own business that looks suspiciously similar to Idea Result.
Right.
And that's what they did.
Right. So a bit of a bad taste.
Yeah, not a great year. That.
Right, okay.
The three of us had worked together for a long time, and they decided that they could do it without me. So they set up their own business. It's almost identical
and
to
hard to get
Idea
over
Result.
That? Painful.
Very, very difficult to get over that.
Yeah.
There's it's very, very difficult not to take it personally.
Yeah.
We had a great relationship for a very long time, and as I did with all of our clients.
Yeah.
And then a good number of those clients said, "Well, we're just going to go with Tom and Seb and their new business."
Right.
Because, in fairness, they took all the staff, so I didn't really have the staff left to fulfill. So it was a very difficult moment for me. I felt very, very alone, very like, I don't know what I've done to deserve this. Okay. But who knows?
And how long were you suffering in the wilderness over that from me?
I wouldn't say I was suffering in the wilderness. It was
But it obviously affected you. You got the umps with it, and you were looking into yourself. Was it me? Was it them? You would have been questioning yourself, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it was a moment of reflection.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I worked on a few other projects. I had some clients. I wasn't really very busy. I didn't.
And can you take, Mark, when something like that happens, and I've had a partnership that's split up, with loads of complications to it, can you take a positive from that? Because we're always trying to let's put a spin on it that makes us not cry in our soup,
There is no positive spin. No. Well, do you know what? I don't know. I mean, let's see what happens. Yeah. I'm very, very happy with where I'm at now. And I guess if that hadn't happened, then I wouldn't be where I am now. Yeah. So I guess that's the positive spin. Yeah. It's very difficult to look back and say, that was a positive time, and I could sense that there was some excitement around this. I didn't feel like, it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't my intent. It wasn't my desire to move on to other things. But you find your feet, and I had a period of semi-retirement. I didn't do a great deal for, I guess, a couple of years really. Right. I did some traveling. I had a number of clients. I worked on a couple of different things, but it was only Christmas just gone, and I really stumbled into something else, which is what I'm working on now.
I invite you to have a look over my shoulder at my newsletter. If you want to hear about the things that grab my attention each week that could bring you value, sign up in the episode description. Now, back to the pod. Tom Bowlerton. Whoa! We need music. Come on.
We need a jingle. We need a jingle.
Tom
Fabulous.
So, I've got
who's spinning it then? You must be spinning
I'll do the spinning because you've got to think what you're doing on this. Is it that way, Ollie? Oh, God, look, it's coming out already.
Oh, it's done it.
I know, I'm doing it all the wrong way. Right, we've got three. We've got a choice of three now. Tom Balatar, here we go. So this is for our question. And our first question is number one question. So what's number one question, Ollie? Let's do this.
Number one.
I'm trying to put as much energy into this crap thing that we can. Ollie ordered this, but it looked a lot better on. Anyway.
How did you develop your overall sales strategy when you first started your business?
Oh dear.
Well, the first thing I did was go meet people. I went networking. I joined as many networking organisations as I could possibly do. I went to just rub shoulders with people.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way of starting. If you think that you're going to just build a website, sit in your office, and people are going to flock to you, Nope.
No.
You've got to go out and meet them
Yeah.
and encourage them to be customers. A bit like what you've just said about video, and I need to do that.
Yeah.
I need to get myself on there and explain that. But face to face, go out there and meet as many people as you can. I've seen a lot of businesses over the years where they have just thought, oh, it's easy, I'll just start my website and the public will come flocking, and they don't, unfortunately. No. I think out of the 1,000 customers that we have, there's only been, single-digit percentage that's actually come from direct from the website.
And
nothing else.
Say you're running at 1,000 customers, what's the drop-off rate of that?
Oh, very low. We have such a high retention.
Is it? It's good, isn't
really
it?
High.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah.
Really, like I said earlier, I've got customers that have been with me for 20 years plus.
Yeah. Ollie, read the question for me one more time.
How did you develop your overall sales strategy when starting your business?
Yeah, way back in the day, we would knock on doors. That was a thing there. And then I'm a great believer, Dave, of putting the customer as our sales team, turning the customer into
we're bad
our
at that,
sales
I have
team.
to say. We're not that
and
great.
I think that's what you get, that you've got these, well, like you said, retented customers. You need to turn them into your sales
We get them to
team.
put Google reviews on and Trustpilot reviews, etc. But actually getting them there as an army to help.
But
we
do it. There's a prize, there's a competition, there's whatever, and start creating a community in amongst those loyal phone users. But I think that's what I really did in the early days, was to try and get the customer to turn into my sales team. I mean, here with the wedding venue, it's very difficult because you get a wedding, you don't retain a customer, so it's the 100-odd guests that you're turning into raving fans that then go off and sell on your behalf.
Yes.
So that was it.
Well, you've seen it work because we're at Business Masterclass and I gave away a free iPhone.
Yeah.
And people just queued up at my stand for the 2 days.
I mean, that was a
there.
very good thing, and it worked the year before, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, that was to put a card in the fish bowl,
in the bowl, goldfish bowl,
the goldfish bowl. And then what I liked was not a lot of people have cards, so you had blank cards for them to fill out, and then that gives you all that customer base. And did that work, David?
Absolutely, worked brilliantly. Yeah, we've ended up with multiple new clients.
Have you?
And probably added about 500 people to our newsletter and database.
The only thing is, Mr. Sinclair is a good ambassador for you, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He must have plugged you about 6 or 7 times over that last 2 days.
I think to the upset of the other people in the room.
And it was full of bloody good people, wasn't it? They all had businesses, and they were like seasoned businesses, weren't they?
Yep.
And they could sniff a bit of discount.
I've had a conversation with one today directly from the show. And they've got nearly 20 phones with EE, and they've just said today they'll move over.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
So business like that is fantastic for us.
Right, we're going for question number 8.
How do you build trust with new customers?
Well, I mean, what we would do back in the old days was I was interfacing all the time, but I think we built trust with the customers. We'd do a lot of training for our staff, so they were good people to be around, especially in the domestic area. But trust with, turn up on time, be smart, have a smart van, all of that stuff. No rubbish left in that particular service industry. In other businesses, with a big company that does all the lettings, we've got lots and lots of tenants. We attend the phones if there's a problem. We make sure things are done. I think speed. Wouldn't you say that speed is something that
speed is very important.
Speed is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back on the email, back on the phone. Even if you just say, we won't be able to deal with that over the next couple of days because we've got some staff off, but we'll be there on whatever it might be. But that communications and speed.
People don't expect you to fix it immediately, but they do expect you to let them know what's happening very quickly.
I think
quite passionate about that.
What built up the relationship with you and I in that early sort of romance was you were able to solve a problem very quickly that then it gave me credibility to say to others, no, use them for their supply of the phones, because even if there's a problem, they'll fix it.
Yeah.
And that you have the opportunity to shine when there's a problem.
And sometimes things are out of your control.
Yeah.
But it's making sure people know that they're still loved and we're there for them.
So communication
is
speed.
key. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doing what you say you'd do as well.
Yeah.
be honest about it.
How many do you want to do, Oliver, on these? Do one more. Right, here we go. With less the drama of turning. This is number 9.
Number 9. Right, so we've got another sales one. What are some common sales mistakes you see entrepreneurs make?
I think they try to do it all on the internet. Let's just put it all out there as a website where people to flock to. But you mentioned that earlier. That's not enough.
Humanising. You've got to be human about it. Talk to people. I think it's quite subtle actually, and that people, if you're slightly dismissive of people, I think that comes across. Yeah. I think if you're going to engage with someone, you need to engage with them. Yeah. I've seen people pretend to engage, but you can tell the falseness behind it.
I always say that the customer, the customer is so savvy, they can spot bullshit from a mile away. And if you've not got sincerity behind what you're
100%.
doing, the service, the product, whatever it might be, they'll give you. They won't even tell you they're not coming back. They just won't.
And that's it. Yeah. They don't tell you. No, you just won't see them again.
Yeah, you just won't see them.
Sincerity, I think, is a big part of that. And I've always tried my very best to be sincere with people, genuinely, not an act. And I see people fail because it's just not there. Yeah. They might do everything else right, but if you're not sincere about it or humble about it, I think it will disappear.
Ollie, treating the customer sometimes like they're not smart. And I think the customer's super smart, and they think they can get away with something. And they might, but they won't get away with it on the second or the third time.
One of my sayings is, because customers will say to me, because I'm in a techie industry, they'll say, I'm just stupid, Dave, because I've done this. And I'll say, you're not stupid, you're just lacking in experience. Yeah. We deal with this stuff every single day. Yeah. I don't know about what you do. Yeah. And I don't call that stupidity. I just think, I'm just not in that game. And I try and put people at ease like that.
I think for entrepreneurs, you have no choice than to be a flirty, engaging person that is personable. You can't be a shrinking violet if you're in business. You've got to be out there. I'm constantly selling all the time to anyone I meet. I went into Land Rover the other month and there was 2 young girls on the desk. I had the opportunity to say, are you married? I can quite see they're too young to be married. And they go, no. And I say, would you like to get married? They go, no. And I say, right, well, you will one day. Look up this website. And I say, look up Baddow Park House. And then I go off and do something, get a coffee, go to the service department. And when I come back, they're all buoyed up. Oh, my God, this is lovely. Oh, do you work there? And this, that, and the other. I said, no, I'm the owner, and I'm going to give both of you a discount when you turn up. But we haven't even got boyfriends. I said, right, now you need to go and get a boyfriend who earns plenty of money, because we're right up there. We're top end. And this is where you should have a lovely wedding. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I am. I'm going to get a boyfriend that's got a really good job. And it's just banter, but I know that has some trickle down somewhere. And it just does. We've got to be sales. We're on, aren't we, all the time?
And of course, you wear your Baddow Park hat.
I wear my hat every day.
I always see you with your hat on.
But that is part of it, and I do get a thrill out of it, and excitement out of that, out of getting the. You must love it when you get some phones out and you get some customers.
Doing the deal is my favourite thing. I still get the buzz from a customer saying, yes, let's go. Yeah. And brilliant.
And you can see their head almost trickle over where they go, right, okay, so you'll do the phones, go there. We need to do this, don't we? Because I was like that with you, and you explained it all to me, and I went, right, okay, so, and how could you do it? Oh, right, within 48 hours, and you got the phone, yeah, okay. I need to do it, don't I?
You did. I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Let's do it. That's it. And we have people here.
And then you pass me on to Christina, of course.
Yeah, get my secretary. It's still all the loose ends. But even here, Dave, the people that you see them, they come and they go, all right, so that date's not available. No. We've already filled up most of the year you're trying to get into, so you need to make a decision. They just go, yeah, well, we do, don't we? And we go, yep, you do. And if you want this pile of bricks that's lovely with all of these gardens, with all of this care and attention from our staff, you need to make a decision, because this is it, and it's moving. It's a moving animal, and you might miss a day. a date is very important for us here. People want certain dates. They want to do this, want to do that. Ollie, what else have we got to do on features? What do you want to do?
Yeah, so you asked me to make a jingle.
I did ask you to make a jingle in your bedroom at home. So what happened, Ollie? Come on, tell us all about it. Let's hear it.
So I don't want you to be too judgmental about this because I put a lot of effort into it. So this is our next...
This is very exciting, people. Here we go, Ollie. This is your first... Let's hear it.
It's Tombola time!
That was it. It wasn't very long.
It took me a week to make.
So we're just talking about
it's Tombola time.
Tombola time. So do we have a tombola?
No.
No, we do. We have this.
We've got one on the way.
We had the crap machine of hell that obviously someone didn't get the memo right, did they, on this? Where's the handle? You've not seen this, have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you're going to love this. This is our sector. Right, here we go. We're doing... Go. We are today question number 1, please. Great, isn't it?
What are the key steps to scaling a business?
I think the first thing's got to be what business it is, isn't it? It's got to be something that can scale.
It's interesting because when it comes to looking at scaling, obviously that I'm obsessed with scaling.
Yeah.
Right. So everything, I'm obsessed with it, but I'm also challenged with it. It's not because I'm the ADHD entrepreneur. I'm not the structured entrepreneur that, has systems and processes to be able to scale. Yeah. So I'm like the messy scaler, but I need someone to come in behind me and put those systems and processes in. So, but I think you've always got to look at I'm trying to find a word in my head, but I can't find it. I'm going to use scalability. You've got to look at delegation is one thing. If you can't, that's probably the biggest. If you can't delegate, you can't scale.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I agree
if you take the fundamentals, then I look at things like with employees. If they can't do the basics, they can't do the more complex tasks. So let's look at scaling. If you can't delegate, you can't scale. So you either need to learn to delegate or you don't scale. You stay as a business owner.
And also to trust to delegate, isn't it?
It's part and parcel of it.
A lot of people will lock themselves up because they just can't see someone else doing it as good as them. No. And they're right. A lot of the time, it won't be as good as them, but it will be nearly as good as them. And in some cases, it might even be better than them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I've got a managing director that's better than me in so many departments, and then I compliment him on the other departments. But if you've got, I think that's the main thing. It is, and if you look at, say, the difference between me and Ed is I'm always looking forward. I'm always past the problem. Yeah. He's looking at the problem. Yeah. So, for example, I've appointed a new interim managing director today, and he's already looking at the problems, and I'm like, we've got to look past the problems. Yeah. There's no golden bullet as
this
to
is
who
like
this
head
person
down,
is.
Isn't it? Like this.
Yes.
With the blinkers on at the issue.
Yes.
We're really, is that their job? Someone's got to have vision. Someone's got to have their head up and looking. Yeah. Well, yes, I don't realise that, but over there is where we can get to and just work out.
We've got to get there. Yeah. So in my mind, I think the difference between me or the difference between an entrepreneur or me and some of the people I work with is we're getting there. Yeah. There's no question. No. Don't question me. We're going there. Yeah. How we get there, I'm not fully aware, but we are going there, and you're either on board or you're not.
I think, Sam, that's very true, and sometimes that's to do with good storytelling to your team. To actually do what we were talking about now is leadership, is having the leadership and that camaraderie, and them having the belief in you that you've done this many times before, and we are now going there. Yeah. I think, Ollie, the answer for me on that is you need to have something that can scale. Something that is able to get bigger, and has a digestible to solving a problem or a product, whatever it might be. But when you look at what you've done, the scalability has been by buying other companies up and having very big steps to get there. I mean, the manufacturing side, you kind of built yourself off from scratch.
Again, it's similar. When we bought Cartaway, we bought maybe a couple of million quid's worth of turnover, and then we quickly had to double it. Yeah. So we've done a lot of organic growth. When we bought Reacton turned over 400 grand when we brought it. This year we'll do, and when we brought it, Fired was doing just over 1 million. So between them, they're about 1.5 million. This year we'll do, I think, 16 million. So that's all organic. Right. So everything, again, I can't think of it. It's economy of scale, but it's I'm just missing the word in my head. It might even be scalability. But there's a word that I'm missing.
I think the scalability is right. I think that's what you have to do. But I think I think you've done it quite a hard way, that you have built those manufacturing companies and stuff from scratch. I think on the journey now, if you could buy up some more companies that are in that sector to really get the growth there, or buy some distribution companies and implementation companies in that sector and force your product through to different industries. Yeah. But, they'd have to be, I don't know, engineers on food lines or something like that, or definitely circuit boards where they get. I mean, if circuit boards are always warm, aren't they? There's always problems in there. So that would be something, buy a company that was into that.
Yeah, you can buy your end users, can't you? We could look at our suppliers. There's one, I was trying to buy a company early on this year, but I just couldn't get the numbers stacked up. I'm gutted because I really wanted to bolt that business in, but I just couldn't get the numbers to stack up.
Because when we look at what our biggest costs are in the business year on year, we need to buy that company, don't we?
Yeah.
If we're spending that much money, over £1 million on paper cups, whatever it might be, we need to buy a paper cup company pretty quick.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you get to who you should be buying to scale.
100%. I mean, this was another manufacturer, and they had about 6 million in turnover, so very, very similar to us. So it would have bolted on nicely. It wasn't a supplier. It was another, not even a competitor. They worked in a different field. So I wanted to do that, and I was desperate to do that. We were into the process, but I just couldn't get the numbers to stack up. And I think it was a sign, because when I pulled out of that deal, things actually started getting tougher in one of the other businesses. So I've had to step into that and look after that. So I wouldn't have had the headspace to get that across the line.
Can you go back to that company, do you think, later?
Potentially. Yes. But
timing, mate, is everything sometimes.
I think time is everything, and sometimes I'm quite impatient. So I get, like when I said we're going over there, I will get like that, and that's how I've become successful. Yeah. But sometimes you do that, and then like I was buying that business regardless. No one was telling me otherwise, and then it got down the line, and I started to look at a few things. It kind of fell out a bit, and then that kind of goes away, and I know. Is that you lose that.
That's talking about bravery there as well, because when you get to those stages where hello, we're doing it, this, that, and the other, but the experience and the brave you, as opposed to the impetuous you, says no, sorry everybody, it's all off, because I've had a look at this and it's not actually what I thought it could be, and I think the timing might be wrong. Well, that's really brave.
I was gutted, mate.
It pisses a load of people off. It pisses yourself off.
I had to sit with the owner. I had to sit with the owner on Teams and tell him that I wasn't buying it, and it was and I was absolutely gutted, because I was hell bent we were doing it, just like as hell bent as I was to scale the business.
Yeah. Let's do another question. This is the new machine. Did we give Jeff some money for this?
We did give Jeff some money.
We did. Thank you, Jeff. Bless his little heart.
Look at that.
So this is all very complicated now, because this is a tombola, but we put balls in it, because we thought that would be more dramatic if we do this. And it seems quite good, doesn't it? Like that. So this is going to be for our questions. So, Joel, if you'll pick out the first number,
of course,
and then Ollie will give us. Oh dear, it seems quite expensive. It was quite sharp. I cut my finger. What have we got?
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. Put that in the tray at the bottom. That'll be fine.
Oh, look at that.
So, number 13. What have you got for us?
Right, number 13. How do you differentiate yourself from competitors?
All right, Joel. What do you think?
Very good. The quality of the coffee is quite a big thing. That's sort of what we built the brand on, but then also the community focus of the service. I know I've mentioned it a million times, but
opening Christmas Day or opening occasionally evenings and sort of, just being ready for that.
And
doing
do you
what we
do
can for
those as
people.
little promotion pop-ups?
So we use the sort of 10 and do it a few times a year where people come along and we just open till 8 p.m. Cocktails,
cool.
beers.
Yeah.
We say to everyone we're going to go to Moto Pizza or somewhere at the end. Feel free to join us.
Okay.
And we have we just have fun with it.
And that customer knows a good cup of coffee. They're that savvy.
There's a split. I would say. I'd say we most people have learned. Most people know what they're looking for.
Right.
Most people know if they're ordering the pour overs, they at least know sort of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But then I say that like I'm putting down milk drinks and putting down. I think they're the real. Yeah, I'm going to say they do.
Yeah, that's good.
Even our decaf drinkers are. They're the real ones.
Are they?
They're the real coffee fans because they're doing it. And it's something old James Hoffman says, who's a coffee guy, but they're the ones that are drinking it purely for the flavour. They're the real guys, you know.
What was the question? Just do it one more time.
How do you differentiate yourself from competitors?
I think Ollie, the one thing you need to do is make sure that there is difference.
Yeah.
And you don't end up as wallpaper. And I think that my real answer to that is it's all about staff, and I've said it many times that staff first, customer second. Everybody always talks about I've always put my customer first. Staff first, community of staff and culture, and then if you do that, then you're going to be different because they can come and get the cup of coffee from anywhere, but they can't get the team.
Yeah.
And it's all about the team that are going to serve you, how you're going to be treated, how you're going to be respected. And I think that is what makes you different. And that's what draws people back.
I mean, if your team are having a laugh behind the counter, even that creates atmosphere, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So we've had, hospitality business, our newest member of staff's been there 3 years, which is amazing and something I'm very proud of because obviously
it's very good, isn't it? Yeah.
We've sort of, we can't necessarily pay people massive amounts of money in a cafe, but we can look after them.
But they're having a career with you that, and they're enjoying it. That's
they're
really
looking
good.
after. Lauren coming down earlier to do some training was great. She's incredible at what she does. And then we've got staff who've been there longer than I have. We've got someone who has gone off to uni and sent me a message saying I'm back for 2 days. Can I have a shift? I miss everyone.
That's right. That's cool.
And
That's really cool. I like that.
And of course, the answer is of course, Ray. Yeah, come by.
Yeah.
Are you around for Christmas meal? And really proud of that. It's definitely true. That's where the culture comes from. That's where your difference comes from.
I've got a doggy here. What do you want? What have you come to? Have you come to interfere with the podcast?
Can you smell my cats?
Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Come on then. You're gonna have to come on. You'll come on to camera. Come here. Come up then, and you will come with your big bottom.
Did very well.
Onto
Did
camera.
very well.
Is this what you wanted to do? Did you want to talk to everybody? Did you want to talk to everybody? Well, then you've got to remember this is audio as well as visual.
20.
Do you have a bad firing story?
What, a firing a person from work? How'd you get on with that, Aaron?
Yeah, it's actually that bad. I can only talk about it off air, actually.
That's great. Haven't got one.
It's that bad.
What, it could go to legals if you say it out loud?
No, but I just wouldn't want to tell people what I'd done.
Have you got a lesser one then? Does it happen much?
No. Honestly, our staff retention's fantastic.
Is it?
We like even one of the girls that works with me, her name's Honey. She come to sit with me and she was really nervous, but she was like, I was like, you're not leaving. She was like, no. She was like, I want to go travelling for a month. She was like, I've only got 2 weeks holiday. I was like, I'll pay the other 2 weeks, go. She was like, why? I was like, because I regret not doing that experience.
And you want her to come back.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, but she's,
We bought a chain of small garden centres, and I went into Ingatestone Garden Centre, and it was their first day, and we'd taken and inherited 35 staff.
Wow.
And I'm just wandering around, and they all knew it was the takeover day, and these were the new people, and who's going to be running the place. And I walked around the back of the back of service of the garden centre, and there was a particular lady there with a big joint on.
Oh.
Just smoking her brains out. And I said, hiya. She went, yeah. I went, I'm James, the new owner. Yeah, I know you are. I went, okay, what are you doing? This is my time. This is my break. I'm on my break and I can do what I like on my break. I said, yeah, but you can't smoke drugs at work.
Oh.
Says who? I said, well, actually me, so get your stuff and you can go.
Yeah.
And I just kicked her off the site. Well, that was it.
Any repercussions?
Oh, loads, baby. We had solicitors, we had the whole thing. I'd been spoofed by her. She had just wanted that to happen.
Oh.
And that was it. And I think 12.5 grand later, we paid her. About 9 months down the line, we did all the stuff and dismissed her without... what I should have done is put her in rehab to help her. Yeah. And I should have done that with, obviously, another member of staff. And we should have done that. And obviously, as a bad boss, I did it the way I'd done it because I was so horrified by the way she spoke to me and what she was doing. And I don't regret it because the other lot of staff saw that and they were quite pleased to see her go. And she was a bit of a pain in the arse to the rest of the culture of the staff. Oh. And that was it. And that's what happened. So should we do another one? Because we'll get off of this. It's a bit of a subject, isn't it? Right, here we go. This is question number 5.
What's the hardest decision you've had to make as a founder?
Whoa.
That's okay. So I had someone who was considered my right hand man for probably 3-4 years, and I had to let him leave. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and it was really difficult. But I could see that we'd got to here, but he wasn't going to be on the journey from here to here. And it was really difficult because it's like, it's quite, not emotional, but like this person's helped you. Like he's genuinely helped you get from here to here and you're grateful for that. And now it's like, it's not get the boot, but it is get the boot. And you can just see that it's going to actually become a negative. So it was actually quite difficult.
Well, I think that a lot of that, I believe, is you changing who you've had to become to get to the next
100%,
level.
100%, which at the time it was the best hire ever.
Yeah.
But I think it's difficult because it's like we had a sales guy that phoned the office randomly 4 weeks ago looking for a job. He was looking for a sales job, so he rang the office to sell himself. So I was like, if you can get it today, I'll give you an opportunity. So he came to the office. I was like, I've been looking for a job for 10 weeks. I was like, well, I'm going to give you a job now, and you rang the office 3 hours ago, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Have you really been doing that? Yeah. And it didn't work. I gave him a job because I liked the fact that he'd actually called.
Right. Okay.
Do you get what I mean? But you got to adjust with it, haven't you? It's difficult.
No, absolutely. I think
Sorry, can I add something to that?
Yeah, go.
That was the first time I ever had to get rid of someone as well.
Right.
So that I found that very difficult, and you start panicking about it because you haven't done it. This is new, and he really was like, "Oh, is there going to be a court case? Who do I speak to? I've got to do things properly. Is he going to hate me? And am I going to get a bad review?" And obviously, very difficult, especially the first one. And now it's not F off like what you do. Yeah. One day I'll get there. Yeah. Hopefully not.
No, I wasn't proud of the moment. And, I just got very frustrated, and it got me in that focus moment, and it undone me.
Probably
and it made me go out of shape, and that wasn't good. And I don't want to. What else do you want to do, Mr. Producer?
So we've got What Are We Reading, which we don't have a jingle for.
We don't have a jingle, but folks, it will be coming soon. Ollie's going to work in his bedroom night and day to get that jingle just ready. What are you reading? You love it, don't you? What are you reading? So what are you reading at the minute? Or listening to? Or how do you do it? Do you listen, read?
I listen.
Yeah.
I listen. I've listened to a lot of books over the last 15 years, 20 years. I actually flick between podcasts and books, depending on how busy I am and how much capacity I can take in at the
flights are very good for it, aren't they?
Flights are good. And I manage because obviously I've got a lot going on. I have to really manage my stress levels, downtime, recharge time. Yeah. Obviously you've got physical recharge, you've got mental recharge. I do operate on the edge quite a lot. Just, I operate to the point that I can get dizzy, lightheaded, struggle to drive. That's I'm looking forward to the day that I don't have to operate like that, but that's generally where I do operate. So I recharge a lot. And I don't find a audio book does that because it gets my mind racing. So flights actually I use as a downtime. I use it as to just quite try and empty my mind. So I get quite a lot of people actually ask me about some of the fundamentals. Actually, I had a phone call this morning about someone asking me for a business coach, and there are some really, I can mention 2 or 3. There are some really good fundamental books that people absolutely need to read. The first book is the E-Myth. You read that?
No, E-Myth. No.
E-Myth. So it's about going from self-employed to a business. So it tells you about that journey between having your own and starting to let go. So the E-Myth to me is the absolute.
We'll be able to put that up, won't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Then you've got Instant Cash Flow by Brad Sugars, and you've got Eat That Frog. Those 3 books, I think, really give you a good foundation to, 1, understand the basics of business, 2, understand that you need to do something, like you said, you need to eat those frogs. You need to do some of the difficult things first. And Instant Cash Flow teaches you about the importance of cash flow.
What other feature do you want to go on to, Ollie?
So I'd like to do a what are we reading?
Yeah, okay.
Which can be anything.
Can't we have bloody jingles like James Sinclair's there? That's right. So what are we reading? What are we reading? What are we reading? What are we reading? No?
Can we turn that into a jingle?
Yeah.
I'll turn that into a jingle.
Okay, right. So we just spoke about education, Jamie. What are we reading? What are you into at the moment?
I am reading...
Because I heard you say on another pod that you've got to stop reading so much. It was cluttering your brain. You said to me.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can become too much. I think you've got to make sure that you're taking action from what you read. I'm reading at the minute The Gap and the Gain, which is a good one. Which is more about mindset.
Okay.
It's more about I think entrepreneurs. You're always looking ahead. Right. You're never really present, and you're never really in the past. I think you're always looking at the future.
Yeah.
Great. We've achieved this. What's next? What are we doing next? What's the next goal? And you never really give yourself a pat on the back for the things you've done.
Right.
And that book is about that, which is actually like, be present, look at what you've done. You was here, now you're here. That's an achievement. You should be proud of that. You can still want the rest, but sort of live in that moment a bit more.
And Audible, or you read them?
No, Audible.
Yeah,
driving.
Driving, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever turned the radio on in my car in the last 10 years. I just don't listen to anything else.
Podcasts or ebooks, really, for me.
Yeah. I actually put YouTube on in the car now. I just do the YouTube videos as well. Aaron, we're going to go now to our next segment, and this is What Are We Reading? Now, Oliver, you've been in your bedroom.
Yeah, we have now got a jingle for the What Are We Reading?
And I've never heard this, have I?
You've never heard this?
So camera on my face for excitement. Let's go on, do it, maybe. Here we go.
Here we go.
What are we reading? What are we reading?
That is incredible. That is not you, is it?
No, it's not. That was a little help from an expert from Fiverr.
That's great.
So you putting the digital marketing.
I'm currently reading a book called The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz.
Yes, I've read that. A long time ago. That's a good book.
Yeah. So I think because sometimes I think with Happy Stride I've got to think bigger, like in terms of international kids clothing, all these sort of things. I think it's just I'm really enjoying it because I think it talks about everything, even about like coming into a room, smiling, being more friendly, being more confident, and being more creative. So that's what I'm quite enjoying at the moment.
Can you just say it again, the title?
The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz.
Can we put that up? Can we put it on? Can we put that on when we do the edit? Can we? Mine's Rocket Fuel. Let me just look at who it's by, because I can't remember who it's by. But Rocket Fuel is I'm only about a third in, but I'm really enjoying it. And that is a brilliant book. I mean, I'm halfway through. It was recommended. Do you read much?
I don't read much, but I have just read this book, which is incredible, called Let Them. And it's a book about not worrying about what people think.
Okay.
Or not, actually, that's not. It's about what you can't control, what you can't control.
Okay.
So let them. That's the
Do you know the
mindset.
author?
No.
Mel Robbins. Okay, well, we'll do that. We'll pop it up so the audience can see it and you at home can see it. And our listeners, sorry listener, always forget. You told me off earlier at the beginning of this production today that I keep forgetting that we've got not just viewers. So I apologise, dear listener. I've done a thing again where I'm nerdy because I go back on books that I like, and I'll probably read them up to 6 to 7 times. And my dyslexic brain, I think the digestion is only about 10% every time I read a book, but I'm now getting a new 10% on a reread. Because some of it's a bit boring, so I skip through bits and go to the bits that I was really interested in. But Felix Dennis is either How to Get Rich or Get Rich. I think it's How to Get Rich. He was a publicist and did loads of entrepreneurial books, magazines, all sorts of things that he did. It was a global entity of publishing. And he never got married. He was involved in drugs, hookers, booze. He lived the real life, Sam. Like he was out there. He must have had the constitution of a lion. The amount of things he'd done. Do you know what I mean? He was unbelievable, and he ended up leaving tons of money because he didn't have any children to a big woodland in the Midlands that's funded for life ever. It's like an ongoing thing.
That's
and it's
amazing.
To create this massive woodland because in his lifetime he cut down millions of trees, shoving them into books and magazines.
What a wonderful way to
end.
end.
He just did the flick on it. But it's an interesting book, and you read it. He's no bullshit Billy. I mean, he just says it as it is. And his one thing was about shareholding. He never gave shares away. He was 100%
he held on.
He held on. He gave people massive bonuses and target monies and all that stuff, but he never, ever gave a share away, ever. He owned everything.
That's amazing.
Really, really interesting, dogmatic entrepreneur. And it's a long book. It's a great book. And the narration of it, when I listen to it, obviously with the audio, but if you've not read it, get it. As entrepreneurs, it should be in your bookcase or in your iPhone as a great listen.
Oh, I shall certainly do that.
Okay.
So if I was going to pick a book that sort of sticks out to me, it's
and in form or audio,
physical.
Okay, cool.
Have you ever read Unreasonable Hospitality?
No.
Will Guidara. It's very good. It's basically his story of where he started in hospitality to ending up sort of fronting a project of a restaurant in New York that became the best restaurant in the world, voted best restaurant.
Okay.
And it was through massive and ridiculous attention, care, things like hearing a table say, "Oh, we've not got long left, we need to go pay for parking," and then running out and paying for their parking. Little things like that, Right, cool. It's a really, really interesting read, actually.
Say it again, what is it called?
Unreasonable Hospitality.
I've actually just been given I was given Traction by Neil Sweeney.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
So I read that when I was on holiday. That was a really good book, and sort of.
Did you like it?
I did like it, and I sat down with my wife and I said, "I am the ideas man, what have you." So on there, so it was.
It
was
takes
really
a bit
good.
of time to get into it, but it is a good book, isn't it?
And there's definitely going to be some bits and pieces that we implement into our business from. And then I've literally just started reading Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yeah, it's great. I've probably read that 6 times.
Yeah.
It's a very good book.
Yeah.
Very, very good book. If you've enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, leave a comment. There's someone you know that could gain something from what we do here. Pass the pod. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you on the next one.